It is official. What? Tom Brady is now 3-5. We have a decent amount to talk about with this live stream, of course. We have Isaiah Likely, the rookie tight end. I mean, we made the bet on Kyle Pitts, the young 21-year-old tight end, to be that breakout player this year. Looks like we may be paid a whole lot more for a whole lot less production if we would have just waited to get Isaiah Likely a little later on. But of course, you know, this is a live stream that we do every single night. This one we may keep up as a video later on, so we are kind of introing it. And of course, if you want to be able to come out to one of these live streams, get all your questions answered, make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you get notified when we go live. Like I'm sure we're about to pull up this live chat and see a ton of people out here. And also, if you are out here right now or watching this as a video later on, make sure you go down there, drop a like in the live stream. Please, takes you 1 second. We have not missed a single day of live streaming in well over 100 days. Help us out a ton. Last but not least, I got to flex on everyone here. Hopefully y'all rode with me. Y'all know our player prop of the week, our player prop of the night was the Leonard Fournette less than, 86.5 total yards. Now, I mean, he was kind of getting involved at the end of the game, scared me ever so slightly, but let's pull up the final box score. And as I pull up this box score to this game, make sure if you have not done so already, you go and sign up for Underdog Fantasy. On Underdog Fantasy, you can check out all these player props, and when you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. So it's pretty much free for you to check out. You can find the link in the comment section, find it in the live chat, find it in the description, available in damn near every state. But yeah, Leonard Fournette saves his day with the rushing touchdown, but Fournette 24 rushing yards, 34 receiving yards. So he almost got there on us. He almost did at the very end. I would have been so pissed. We're looking at Mike Evans with 123 yards, Chris Godwin with 75. I mean, hell, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, just like what we have been saying, is actually maybe gonna be okay here. Just because you have so much passing volume where Tom Brady's going to be throwing the ball. I mean, today it was 44 times, but we've come to expect Brady throwing it for over 50 passing attempts a game to go along with this. I mean, hell, we know Evans, we know Godwin are just elite level players. So even if this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team isn't as good as what it once was, you still probably need to be betting on Evans and Godwin, as we've been discussing, just because the raw passing volume, like a bad day from Tom Brady, he has 325 passing yards. So it doesn't really matter from a fantasy football perspective if he is struggling. With Leonard Fournette, I mean, RIP, like we said, he was our favorite under of the week over there on Underdog Fantasy. He just simply does not get on the field. Rachaad White looks good. Rachaad White is going to be someone they have out there very, very often. With Gus Edwards, he went down, but I mean, still, they were using a running back by committee. Still, Gus Edwards, despite every pass catcher in Baltimore going down with an injury, is not someone getting targeted out of the backfield. That's why we talked about going through and selling Gus Edwards earlier this week. I mean, we should somewhat mention Devin Duvernay getting there again for all our best ball teams. Lamar Jackson didn't have a great day. Y'all know we had Lamar Jackson on a buy low video. He only has 238 passing yards. He has the 2 passing touchdowns, though, and the 43 rushing yards. It will be better when we have Andrews and Bateman going forward. But, of course, if you are in a spot where that's not the case, if you are in a spot where Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman missed a decent amount of time, fire up Isaiah Likely. I guess you can pick him up off the waiver wire and use him as that must-start tight end, assuming these injuries. But Michael says he won 500 off Underdog with the Leonard Fournette under. Oh my gosh, my man. Congrats, I'll say. Be responsible when you were looking at that. Be responsible, but I am super happy to hear that. Okay. I think we should be good with the recap. Let's go through. Let's dive into some questions. I'd imagine we have a lot of questions in tonight's live stream, given the Jamar Chase injury, given the Kadarius Toney trade. First question coming out from Frank says, are we selling Chase on the low? If you are 1-6, if you are 2-5, you have no option but to sell Jamar Chase on the low. However, of course, if you're a team that looks like you're going to get to the fantasy football playoffs, then no, we're not going to. Now, Ty says in a 10-team PPR format, we have Burrow, Chase, Godwin, Waddle, Chubb, Andrews, Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, and then on the bench, Jacoby, Deontay, Brian Robinson, Jimmy G, Dotson, Marquise Goodwin. Just lost Chase. Do I trade Jacobs for Justin Jefferson or stay put? Oh my gosh. Losing Chase with this team is so damn painful because not only, obviously, do you take a massive downgrade with Jamar Chase to the other wide receiver you would have, but at the same time, hell, you have Joe Burrow. So it's a double whammy here. Losing Jamar Chase, feel very bad for you. And Josh Jacobs, my most drafted player in fantasy. However, I would go ahead. I would look to sell Josh Jacobs for Justin Jefferson. I mean, I have a whole lot more Josh Jacobs than Justin Jefferson this year. But if I could go through and sell Josh Jacobs on every team that I have him for Justin Jefferson, especially those rosters that just had Jamar Chase go down, I 100% would. But J-Mac coming out, thank you so much as always. My friend says, should I trade Chubb for Tyreek Hill? We have Cousins, CMC, Kenneth Walker, Amon-Ra, Devonta Smith, Kelsey, Pickens, Julio, Deshaun Watson, Rashad White, and Darnell Mooney. So obviously you don't need running back production when we have CMC and Kenneth Walker. But no, I would keep Nick Chubb over Tyreek Hill. I think you can use the tie break that you may have Kareem Hunt getting traded. And how many running backs would be better than Nick Chubb if Kareem Hunt gets traded off the Browns? I can't think of too many. But now our next question coming out from Williams says, traded Boyd and Goddard for Mike Evans in a 0 tight end league. Receivers are Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Evans, and Olave. 12-team at PPR format, balling out in the most competitive league. Congrats, my friend. Obviously, Dallas Goedert has like no value. If it's a league, you don't have to start a tight end. You're never going to want to go through and start Dallas Goedert over someone like Chris Olave. So I really do like the trade to go out there and get Evans. Now, Cole says, just traded Dalvin and Brandon Cooks for Jonathan Taylor. Oh my gosh, hell yes. Or should I have done the Devontae Adams for Jonathan Taylor and Lockett trade and then traded Dalvin for a wide receiver or something? I don't think you overthink it. I mean, don't look a gifted horse in the mouth. Is that what the saying is? My man, trading Dalvin Cook and Brandon Cooks for Jonathan Taylor is phenomenal. Super happy for you. Now, Bobcat says, should I accept this trade? I'm receiving 2 2025 first-round picks, 2 future seconds, and I'm giving away Nick Chubb. Hell yes. In a dynasty league, if we can sell Nick Chubb for 2 future firsts and 2 future seconds, we probably have to go ahead and do it. And can y'all do something for me real quick? We have 800 people in the live stream. Can everybody in the live stream that took the Leonard Fournette less than, I'm just so happy, the Leonard Fournette less than 86.5 total yards, let me know. When's the last time we missed a player prop on a Thursday night or a Monday night game? All we do is hit those player props. Obviously we're getting lucky here. Like there's no way in hell this keeps up. But if you took that Leonard Fournette less than 86.5 on Underdog, please let me know. And of course, if you want to check out any of those player props on Underdog Fantasy, make sure you go to the link in the live chat, the link in the comment section. Use promo code FLOCK. Okay. So we have Wes took it. Jackson, Rashad White looked good. Yeah, I mean, that's a big reason why we wanted to go ahead and take it. Now, our next question coming up from Eric says, 7-0 in a 10-team league. Do I sell Jamar Chase? Hell no, not if you're 7-0. If you're 7-0, you're rolling with Jamar Chase, my friend. But real quick, let me skip ahead to this massive dono coming out from her heel. Thank you, my friend. Says 2-5 in one of my leagues. Have DK, need to trade him for someone healthy. We have 3 offers right now. 1 for Ayuk, 1 for London, and 1 for Brandon Cooks. What should I do? We have Chase in a 5-2 league. Thankfully, also have Higgins. Oh my gosh. I don't want to trade DK Metcalf for any of these players if we can help it. Let me go ahead. Let me pull up RotoWorlds. Let's find the last report that we've had with DK Metcalf here. Obviously, earlier in the week, it sounded like DK Metcalf, didn't have a super serious injury where he wasn't going to be missing an extended period of time. So Metcalf didn't practice today. We got that report about 3 hours ago at this point. So Metcalf's not practicing on Thursday after getting carted off the field. I'd imagine that Metcalf is going to be a long shot to play. If you had to take one of these wide receivers, you were forced to take one of these guys, I think you go Brandon Cooks with the hope that he is traded to a new team. I'm only saying that because you're 2-5. If you're telling me you have literally nobody else to start at wide receiver, Metcalf's gone, maybe we do that. I mean, I would actually rather trade DK Metcalf for Tyler Boyd if we're on a 2-5 roster. I'd rather do that. Now, our next switch coming out from the Fiji Panisse says, what's up, Mason? Should I start Myers, McLaurin, Donta Foreman, or James Robinson in the flex spot? Full PBR, finally a good Thursday night game, by the way. It was a good game. I'll give it that. And if we are going to be looking at this, I think you probably go ahead and start Terry McLaurin. I hate Terry McLaurin, but if John Dodson, Diami Brown, and Logan Thomas all miss, we go Terry McLaurin. If you have a couple of those pass catchers back, maybe we pivot over to Donta Foreman in a good matchup against Atlanta. But Levi says, what should we do with Fournette? Should I ride it out with them? No. I mean, we've been saying it all week. If you could go through, if you could somehow trade Leonard Fournette, get someone like Travis Etienne, get someone like DeAndre Swift, I would love that. Matt Trigger says, hypothetically, Saquon, Chubb, JT, and CMC got to pick 3 guys. I'm assuming that this is hypothetically for a rest of season. We're going to go Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, and Christian McCaffrey. However, you would really want to get Nick Chubb in there if Kareem Hunt is traded. Now, Curve Square Store says 2-5 in a 12-team PBR format. Got offer Debo for Brandon Ayuk. Should I accept? Hell yeah. Jalopy Sausage says trade Mahomes for Dak and Higgins. We have Jamar Chase. Yes, I think if you have Jamar Chase, if you need a wide receiver to plug and play right now, T. Higgins is a locked and loaded top 10 option. I would trade Mahomes for Dak and him. Now, R. Gravy says thoughts on Juju now. Also, Foreman or Brian Robinson at running back. I think I wouldn't fault you at all if you wanted to go down to Foreman in a good matchup against the Falcons. And either of them, Wandale or Curtis Samuel at the flex. I will go both running backs. And then Waller or Pat Frymuth. I think we go Pat Frymuth until we actually see Darren Waller get on the field and stay on the field. Like, I don't want to be repeating a Mark Andrews type situation here. With Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't change my opinion too much. I think Juju and Kadarius Toney play 2 completely different positions. Of course, Juju has to take a small hit. I think that this just really, really eats into what you had from Hardman. Now, Crab Vision says, lost Jamar Chase. We have CD, Hopkins, Wandale. Should we pick up Zay Jones, Hunter Renfrow, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Isaiah McKenzie? I spent the entire offseason talking about how overvalued and how overrated Hunter Renfrow was. The Devontae Adams would come in here and he would dominate targets. Weren't enough targets to go around for all these players. But yeah, we're going to still go Hunter Renfrow off the waiver wire. Now, Isaac says, on PBR start 1, we have Ayuk, Foreman, McKenzie, or Wandale. Then we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Foreman in a good matchup going up against the Falcons. Don says, was surprised you don't think McLaurin's not a top 30 wide receiver with Taylor Heineke at quarterback. I mean, Taylor Heineke is not better than Carson Wentz. Neither quarterback's good. It's not like we can sit here and go, oh, okay, Terry McLaurin has an upgrade. I don't know. I think McLaurin is a top 30 receiver if you have no Logan Thomas, if you have no Jahan Dotson, if you have no Diami Brown. However, if you get those guys back, then you should be concerned. Also, what about Terry McLaurin and Gerald Everett for DK Metcalf? If you have a winning roster right now where you can afford to wait a few weeks till Metcalf comes back, I'm not going to fault you for it. Freddie says in a 12-team PBR format where we're 4-3, we have Mahomes, Tyreek, Hopkins, CMC, Carter, Hurst, Myers, Montgomery, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Michael Thomas, Kadarius Toney. 2 are right now because of bye, trades, active lineup, a waiver. I think you have a great team, my friend. I think one thing that I'd look to do is upgrade the running back position if we could. And I think how we're going to do that is we're going to have to wait a week. You have Tua Tagovailoa going up against the Detroit Lions. I think this Miami Dolphins offense rolls this Detroit Lions defense. I think that you can play Tua, get quarterback 1 production, and then look to package Tua with Michael Carter and maybe get an upgrade at running back next week. Now, Tamid says, trade Jamar Chase for Amon-Ra St. Brown in a 4-3, 10-team PBR format. You probably have to. I mean, it sucks so much, but if we assume that Jamar Chase misses the next 6 weeks, Jamar Chase isn't back until what? The fantasy football playoffs? Like, are you freaking kidding me? It sucks. Amon-Ra St. Brown's already through the bye as well. Can everybody please let me know what they think in the live chat? If you had a 5-4 roster, you're sitting at 5-4 right now. Who would you rather have rest of season? Jamar Chase or Amon-Ra St. Brown in a full PPR league? Now, really quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 300 likes in the stream. We are not even 15 minutes into this live stream yet, so please go down there, drop a like on the stream. And Dylan says Wilson, Mixon, Brian Robinson, Godwin, Jefferson, Andrews, McLaurin. And then the bench is Thomas, Heineke, Claypool, Hines, Likely, Toney. We're 3-4 in a 14-team league. is it time to panic? 14-team format, I think you're kind of okay here. I mean, obviously, it sucks with the Andrews injury. It looks like you can start Isaiah Likely going forward. Maybe we get a bump up with Kadarius Toney. I think it's an okay team. It's very hard to make any trades on this roster, however, until you get Andrews, until you get Thomas back. I would look to see what we could get for Terry McLaurin, though. I'm not a McLaurin guy. And it looks like most people in the chat agree with us. I think you kind of have to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Okay. People are saying 5-4 is impossible. Y'all are right. 5-4 is impossible. I meant to say 4-3. I apologize. Now, our next question coming out from Brandon says, trade Michael Carter for Kenyon Drake or James Robinson. Nope. There's a slight chance for James Conner, but I have to throw in another player. I would rather make the deal for James Conner. If you think Gus Edwards will be out for an extended period of time, then maybe you go Kenyon Drake. But in a full PPR format, give me Carter over J-Rob. Anthony says, Wan'Dale or Kadarius Toney from my bench. Thanks, Mason. Thank you, my friend. I think Wan'Dale Robinson has a significantly higher floor. Kadarius Toney has a significantly higher ceiling. So if we're looking at a player for the last spot on our roster, I'm going to go ceiling over floor. Give me Kadarius Toney. Now, Black Jesus always out here says, if Zeke doesn't play or is limited, do I start Pollard over Swift or Stevenson? Pollard's a must-start guy if Ezekiel Elliott doesn't play. If Ezekiel Elliott is active, you start Swift and Stevenson. If Ezekiel Elliott is inactive, you start Swift and Pollard. Now, Dominic says, I traded Foreman for Garrett Wilson. My running back room is Eckler, JT, Walker. Receiver room is Higgins, Lamb, Pierce, Tyquan, and Van Jefferson. Is this a win or a loss? I mean, it's kind of up to you. I think it's a fair deal. It's going to depend on the Corey Davis injury. It's going to depend if Elijah Moore does get traded. Now, our next question coming out from Jero says, trade Leonard Fournette for Dalvin Cook. Hell yeah, based on what you just saw. I mean, I think you have to be very worried about Fournette. Carlos says, currently have the number one waiver wire is Kadarius Toney clears tomorrow. Should I use it on him? My receivers are A.J. Brown, Sutton, Lazard. Yeah, if Lazard's your wide receiver 3, I mean, hell, if Courtland Sutton's your wide receiver 2, yes. I'm not going to sit around with that number one waiver wire claim. Just go get Kadarius Toney. Now, Animal says, drop Latavius Murray for Kareem Hunt, non-PBR. Thanks, Bruno. Thank you so much. And yes, I would easily rather have Kareem Hunt. If Kareem Hunt gets traded to another team this week, I mean, hell, Kareem Hunt could be a league-winning player. Now, Mapper says, full PBR, we have Mixon, Walker, ETN, Pollard. Who do we bench this week? If we have to bench 2 guys with the assumption that Ezekiel Elliott misses, it's going to be very damn difficult. Now, keep in mind, Kenneth Walker, my second most drafted running back in fantasy this year. I like Kenneth Walker. I think Walker will be someone we have to bench. However, if it's a full PPR league, I'd really want to start both Mixon and ETN and then throw Pollard in there at the flex, just specifically because it's a full PPR format. That's why we would start Pollard over Kenneth Walker if Ezekiel Elliott were to miss. But Angel says she traded Joe Mixon and George Pickens for ETN and Chris Olave in a 14-team league. Great deal. I think that in a full PPR format, Mixon and ETN are comparable. I would rather have Mixon given the offense, but hell, going from Pickens to Olave is a massive upgrade. Thomas says, 10-team league, Hurts, Hill, Higgins, Hollywood, Olave, Kirk, CMC, Pierce, Singletary, Henderson, J.K. Dobbins, Kelsey. Just traded DeAndre Hopkins for Dameon Pierce because I lost Breece Hall. What do you think? I really don't like trading away DeAndre Hopkins. I would have preferred keeping him if we could. However, in a 10-team league, obviously, you lost both J.K. Dobbins and Breece Hall. So running back is going to be a priority there. So I'm not going to fault you too much for it. I mean, I do really like DeAndre Hopkins, though. Now, really quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 400 likes in the live stream. I've not even been live for 20 minutes. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Jayan says, another common W for Devin Duvernay. I think it's safe to say Duvernay was probably the best 18th round best ball pick this year. I think you crushed it, my man. You crushed it. Now, Morph says, Kamara, Zay Jones for Jacobs and Deebo Samuel. Oh, yeah, I think you easily go Jacobs or Curtis Samuel. It doesn't even matter. Give me Josh Jacobs over Alvin Kamara. It's not even close. Josh Jacobs is the running back 2 right now in fantasy. But now Riley coming out with a massive dono. Thank you, my friend. Let me skip ahead of this. We'll go right back to where we were. It says, good evening, Mason. Just traded my Kamara for his Amon-Ra St. Brown and David Montgomery. Would I be crazy to trade my DeAndre Swift and Mike Evans for Jonathan Taylor? Running back and receivers are Mixon, Swift, Montgomery, Foreman, Brian Robinson, Kupp, Amon-Ra, Evans, and Courtland Sutton in a 12-team league. Personally, because I really do think that DeAndre Swift in a full PPR format is undervalued at this moment. I mean, especially through his bye. It looks like he's going to be coming back this week. I would hesitate on this trade. However, you have a great roster, so I'm not going to fault you if you just want to get the best player in the deal, specifically if this is a league where you only have one flex spot. But please, before sending the Mike Evans and DeAndre Swift deal for Jonathan Taylor, can we try DeAndre Swift and Cortland Sutton? I would much prefer that trade. Or maybe David Montgomery and Mike Evans. I think those would be two way better deals for you. I don't know if that gets it done. Can't hurt to counter that. And if you really want the other Jonathan Taylor deal, then just go back on it. Now, Danny says, Mason, I love the content. I got a doozy for you to start Russ, Goff, Dalton, Rodgers, Mack, or Justin Fields in a 4-point pass touchdown league. And would you trade Evans and Linney for A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift? Yes, I would. I think DeAndre Swift's a massive upgrade than over Leonard Fournette. And looking at Russ, Goff, Dalton, Aaron Rodgers, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, not really excited about any of these guys. Obviously, your first reaction's going to be to go over and just play the back-to-back MVP in Aaron Rodgers. But if you look at implied team totals right now, the Packers in this matchup against the Bills are supposed to be the third worst offense in the NFL, according to Las Vegas sportsbooks. The only worst teams are supposed to be the Bears and Pittsburgh in terms of the offenses. I mean, he has a tough matchup, so I don't know if we can go Rodgers. If we're looking at the other implied team totals, you have Goff and the Lions supposed to score 24 points. I mean, the Broncos are right down there with the Packers. I think we probably got to go Goff. I know Goff has been bad as of late, but keep in mind he hasn't had DeAndre Swift. He hasn't had Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I think as you get these players back in, Goff will be better. Now, Andrew says, Walker, McLaurin, Judy for Jonathan Taylor. I think you prefer Jonathan Taylor. Jerry Jeudy, Terry McLaurin don't look like much at all at this point. Unless this is like a 14-team league, 16-team league with multiple flex spots, give me the best player in Taylor. Anthony says, Kenyon Drake, we get running back, trade Pickens for Drake. Depends on the extent of this Gus Edwards injury. I know we're just shooting in the dark here, but can everybody spam the chat right now? We have over 1,100 people. If we can get 1,100 messages, that would be awesome. How many weeks do you think Gus Edwards misses? If Gus Edwards, as well as J.K. Dobbins, aren't coming back anytime soon, I mean, obviously, at that point, Kenyon Drake would be very exciting. You still have Justice Hill that you'd be splitting the backfield with, so it's not like Kenyon Drake is going to be getting every single touch here. I mean, it's going to go from a 3-man running back by committee to a 2-man running back by committee. Let's see what people are saying. Some people are saying all of them. A lot of people are saying 2 to 3. A lot of people are saying 2 to 3 for Gus Edwards. If you think that Edwards misses a month or more, I wouldn't mind if you wanted to go make an aggressive trade for Drake. Now, Joshua says, with Eckler on bye, Breece Hall getting hurt, do I start Chuba Hubbard or Tyler Algier? Oh, my gosh. Probably have to go Tyler Algier, knowing that it's a good matchup against Carolina, knowing that Donna Foreman is going to split that backfield with Hubbard. Then do I put Pickens, Dobbs, Josh Reynolds, or Tyquan Thornton in the flex? We're going to go Pickens. Despite Pickens having absolutely no target volume, that's with the assumption that Allen Lazard plays, though. However, if Allen Lazard does miss, then I think you have to pivot over and go Romeo Dobbs, even if it's a tough matchup going up against Buffalo, because Pickens has a very tough spot going up against Philadelphia. And do I trade Walker, Diggs, Waddle, Waller? I'm 3 and 4. No. I think when you get Eckler back next week, you're going to have a more than enough depth to go around. So I would sit still. I mean, I kind of want to tell you to trade away Darren Waller, but at the same time, I don't know if that helps you at all because nobody's given anything for Darren Waller. Now, Misa, always out here. Thank you so much. Just freaking out a little. I'm 6 and 1, but we lost Chase and Hall. Of Lamar, CMC, Walker, Drake, Bateman, Brandon Cooks, Deebo Samuel, Deontay Johnson, Darnell Mooney, Keenan Allen, Pat Freiermuth, Hayden Hurst. Any suggestions? Mike Williams was dropped as well. Go pick up Mike Williams right now. I think that's the only move we have to make. Drop Darnell Mooney. Go pick up Mike Williams in a heartbeat. And this is the luxury of having that hot start in fantasy football, right? Because you're 6 and 1 here. I always say this team that loses Breece Hall and Jamar Chase, go figure, when you lose a running back 1 and a wide receiver 1, it's not a good roster anymore. Like, you have a bad team, but you're 6 and 1. We pick up Mike Williams. You get Keenan Allen coming back next week. We get Mike Williams back off the waiver wire for free. I mean, God knows how long, but he will eventually be back. And we get Jamar Chase back for the fantasy football playoffs. Even if this team goes from being the best team in the league to now you have a subpar roster, and say you don't even go 500. Say Jamar Chase misses the next 6 weeks, and during that time you have an abysmal performance. You go from starting off 6-1 to then over the next 6 weeks only winning 2 games, going 2-4 without Jamar Chase. Hell, at that point, what are we? We're 8-5. We're still easily in the fantasy football playoffs. We're getting Jamar Chase back in. We just got Keenan Allen back from his injury. You picked up Mike Williams off the waiver wire. So the team is bad. I don't want to lie to you. Now with these 2 injuries, it's significantly worse, but you are going to be fine. And really quick, we are about at 500 likes in the live stream. Thank you so much. Looks like about half of y'all dropped a like on the stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. It does help us out a ton. Now, Iggy Biggie says, I have CMC, Damian Pierce, Najee, Mostert, Kupp, Amon-Ra, Devonta Smith, and DK Metcalf. Should I trade Pierce and DK for Devontae Adams and DJ Moore? Yes, I would. I don't want to sit here and act like DJ Moore has much value, even with Christian McCaffrey getting moved. But going and getting Devontae Adams, getting that elite level wide receiver in fantasy, I mean, at this point, the wide receiver 4 probably does make a lot of sense with a Metcalf injury, and you have running back depth. Cameron says, Kyler, Eckler, Debo versus Hurts, Ramondre, Tyreek. Give me Hurts over Kyler. Give me Eckler over Ramondre. Give me Tyreek over Debo. I think it's a fair deal. I'd probably go with the Jalen Hurts side, just knowing the value Ramondre Stevenson has right now. I think you get more for him. Now, Omar says, big fan of the show. Would you trade Ramondre for Christian Kirk? Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I do think that Ramondre Stevenson is a sell high guy because we've seen a lot of people manage to go through and look, and sell like Ramondre Stevenson as well as like a wide receiver 2, like Terry McLaurin, just as an example, and go get ridiculous value. Go get guys like Jonathan Taylor. So 100%, I do think that we want to be seeing what we could get for Ramondre Stevenson. However, I don't think you're getting enough here. I don't think you're getting close to enough, if we're going to be honest. Now, Jamalai says, 12-team app PPR format, 5-2. We have Chase, Hopkins, Saquon, Pierce, Pitts, Waddle, and then on the bench, Cooper, Herbert, Madison, Akers, James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco, rate and any moves to make. I really like what we're doing on this team. You add the elite wide receivers with Chase, Hopkins, and then down there on the bench, when we also had Waddle in the flex, Amari, we are focusing in on high upside running backs that are an injury away to becoming league-winning players. Herbert, Madison, Akers, James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco. Love the roster construction. You're going to be in a world of pain with no Jamar Chase when we're having to move Chase down there to the bench and put Amari Cooper in the starting lineup. But going right back to what we were discussing on that 6-1 roster, this is the luxury of starting hot. You can have this serious injury and still be fine where, hell, you're 5-2, you'll live. Now, Chase says we're 4-3 in a 12-team PPR format. We have Herbert, Taylor, CMC, Waddle, Bateman, Andrews. Feel like I got to make a move. We want Bateman, Carter gone. Also down apart with Herbert or Andrews. Trade ideas, bench is non-existent. I am sorry to break the news to you, my friend. You aren't going to get a bag of peanuts for Rashad Bateman right now. Like, literally, I've not seen Rashad Bateman been moved in a trade for any decent value, and I was screaming sell high on Bateman coming into this season. I did not like Bateman's price point, but I have not seen Bateman command anything in trade over the past month, especially with them going down on Thursday night. You're not getting anything. I know you, and trust me, I get it. I believe that you want to trade him. I don't know if you can, though. If you trade Rashad Bateman, you're getting back like Curtis Samuel in return, my friend. And if you're wanting to move Michael Carter, I think you should probably wait a week here. Because if I'm going to be honest, I think people are kind of overestimating Brian Robinson a bit. And that if you are looking at Brian Robinson, I will be the first person to admit that, yes, he's probably going to be the red zone running back in New York. He's going to be the short area RB. But Michael Carter is going to get pretty much every single target out of this backfield. I don't necessarily think that James Robinson has that much talent left if he's being shipped for a 6th-round pick. So honestly, my friend, I don't want to be trying to trade away either one of these guys. And then the same thing with Andrews. What do you think you're going to get for Andrews? Everybody just saw Andrews go down on Thursday night. Isaiah Likely come in. Andrews, his own value is going to be at an all-time low. Maybe if you were 1-6, 2-5, and we needed wins right this second, then yes, we can sell Andrews at a significant discount. However, if I think I were to tell you to sell Andrews on a 4-3 team at an all-time low for his price, we'd be regretting it in a month. I think you, don't panic. Don't panic. Just sit still. And Lopez coming out with a massive dono. Thank you so much, my friend. Says 1-6. We have Brady, Kamara, JT, Waddle, Hopkins, Kittle, Lamb at the flex. And then on the bench, we have Dak, Walker, Najee, Connor, Montgomery, Thielen, and Tyler Lockett. Should we trade my Walker for Travis Etienne? Should I add Kamara, Kittle, Connor for Kelsey or Swift, or go for a receiver? Hell yes. If you could trade Kamara, Kittle, and go get Kelsey, I would really like that. If we could go Kamara, Kittle, Connor for Kelsey and Swift, love that deal. And then also trading Kenneth Walker for Travis Etienne. I mean, Kenneth Walker, I have to say this, he is my second most drafted running back in fantasy this year. Trust me, I hope Kenneth Walker outproduces Travis Etienne, even if we have a lot of Etienne as well. I would go Kenneth Walker if it's a non-PBR format. However, if it's a full PBR league, I have to be honest, even though I love the guy, he's not going to catch passes. He won't catch the ball at all. So in a full PBR format, I think that we would have to go through and take Travis Etienne over Kenneth Walker. Now, really quick, we're about to hit 600 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody coming in, hanging out with us. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. Looks like about half of y'all have not yet. So what are you waiting for? We have not missed a day of live streaming any day this season. I've not missed a day of live streaming in over 100 days. So make sure you drop that like. Make sure you subscribe because we're going to stream every single night till the end of the season. Alejandro says Boyd, London, or Terry at the flex. Tyler Boyd by a mile. Joey says trade Woods and Gordon for Johnson in a PBR format. Don't really know. Is this Deontay Johnson? Probably not. Now, Jacob says, in a 12-team PBR format, we have all three of Etienne, Kenneth Walker, JT. Receivers are Jefferson, Gabe Davis. Which running back out of these three do we package with Davis for Diggs? I would, in a heartbeat, trade Kenneth Walker and Gabriel Davis if you could get Stephon Diggs in a full PBR format, even if I really like Walker. Diggs is just a completely different caliber of player. Now, Mr. Filthy Wub says, 4-3 in a 12-team PBR format, we have Burrow, Walker, Etienne, Evans, Brown, Olave, Hawkinson, Gallup, Pickens, Foreman, Hubbard, Gus Edwards, Wan'Dale Robinson, any rest of season moves. If we were looking at doing something, I think what would be interesting is if we could package together the combo of George Pickens and Donta Foreman and get back a much better wide receiver that we would be excited about for the flex. I would really like that because with George Pickens, he has been phenomenal. He has been so good that people are overly optimistic with him. They're willing to ignore the fact that with George Pickens, he is fourth on the Pittsburgh Steelers in targets. He's first on the Pittsburgh Steelers in yards, which is like the craziest thing ever. But still, you have so many players still getting targets. It's still a very bad offense. So even if Pickens looks like a phenomenal player, even if from a dynasty fantasy football perspective, you're going to be super excited about George Pickens. From a redraft perspective, this is about the worst situation you could ever be in. And I possibly would be looking to see what we could get for him. Now, Tyler says, should I trade Jefferson for Chase and Swift? We're 4-3 right now. We have Godwin, Pittman, Cooks, Wan'Dale. Running backs, we have Walker, Barkley, and Leonard Fournette. Oh, my gosh. If you are 4-3, if you have a winning record and you really think that you can get by at the wide receiver position for the time being, I would be fine trading Justin Jefferson for Jamar Chase and DeAndre Swift. Because if we can stay afloat, if we can sneak into the fantasy football playoffs, we would just be rolling our league mates. One thing that we could look to do as well is possibly go ahead and package together like Leonard Fournette and Michael Pittman, get an upgrade at wide receiver for the time being, because you will have DeAndre Swift. You'll have that must-start guy every week. Now, real quick, we have a massive dono coming out from Brady. Thank you so much. Let me skip ahead of this. We'll go right back to where we were. Right before we answer this, though, we are 5 likes away from hitting 700 likes in the stream, so please drop that like if you have not done so. Brady says, hey, Mason, trying to figure out who to put in my flex spot. My options are Sanders, Wan'Dale, DJ Moore, Amari, and James Conner. So I have found that a lot of people are super excited to go through and play Wan'Dale Robinson with him looking pretty damn good over the past 2 weeks. With him, jacking up the amount of snaps he's playing in this offense. I'm excited about Wan'Dale Robinson as well. We've had him on God knows how many waiver wire videos, but we need to be realistic. It is not as if this trade of Kadarius Toney makes Wan'Dale skyrocket in value. Kadarius Toney has not played since week 1. It's not like Kadarius Toney was out there taking snaps away from Wan'Dale, and you finally get him out of this offense, and Wan'Dale Robinson's finally going to be allowed to have a larger role. The role doesn't change for Wan'Dale. Toney was locked in the doghouse regardless. So I think that, no, don't play Wan'Dale Robinson. I think that you honestly just kind of have to go through and lock in Miles Sanders. With Sanders, he definitely doesn't have a great matchup going up against Pittsburgh, but they're 10.5 point favorites. They are 10.5 point favorites. Let's go Sanders over Wan'Dale. Blind says, talks are Kamara might go to the Eagles. How likely is this to actually happen? Saints are looking for their first-round pick back and more. I'll tell you right now, the Saints aren't getting their first-round pick back and more if you do trade Alvin Kamara to the Eagles. Veteran running backs just don't cost that. James Robinson just got traded for a 6th. Carolina Panthers couldn't even get a first for Christian McCaffrey. Alvin Kamara has some off-the-field issues, so I can tell you right now, there's no way in hell a team's going to go and give a first-round pick plus some, especially from a team that's 2-5. No, the Eagles aren't going to be giving that up. However, I could see it. I don't think it's likely. I think it's unlikely that Kamara is dealt. But, the Saints are 2-5. If they lose this week, what are they playing for? Maybe they pull what Carolina did, but don't think they're getting a first-round pick and more for Alvin Kamara. This isn't fantasy football. The NFL has different values for these RBs. Caesar says 5-2 in a 10-team PPR format where we have Hurts, Dak, Saquon, Pierce, Stevenson, White, Jefferson, Godwin, Pittman, Pickens, Rondale, Wan'Dale, Kelsey. Any moves? Love the team. Dak, Hurts. I think we would go ahead, trade Dak in a package with someone like Ramondre Stevenson. If we can go get like a Jonathan Taylor level player, knowing that Jalen Hurts is going to be our must-start guy every single week going forward. He's already through the bye. Outside of that, phenomenal team. There's a clear reason you're 5-2. Mike says, Allen, Amon-Ra, Hunt for Burrow, Debo, and Etienne. So Amon-Ra over Debo, Etienne over Hunt, Allen over Burrow. Now that you have the Jamar Chase injury, I'm going to be easily taking the Allen side. Thomas says, who do we start this week? Singletary, Boyd, or Gabriel Davis? I think Tyler Boyd and Gabriel Davis are going to be in a very comparable spot going forward. I think that if you're playing in a non-PPR format, you go Gabriel Davis with the big playability and the touchdown upside. If you're playing in a full PPR league, maybe you go with Tyler Boyd. Gardner Minshew, longtime member of the flock, says, hey, Mason, in a PPR format, which running back should I aim for? We have Chuba, White, Lenny, Henderson. Wide receivers are Jefferson, Hopkins, Higgins, Sutton, Lockett, and Tyler Boyd. We can go ahead and trade away Sutton and maybe someone like Leonard Fournette and throw in Rachaad White. I found if you trade both running backs in the same backfield, you actually get a lot more in return. We could go like Leonard Fournette, Rachaad White, and Courtland Sutton, get back in Jonathan Taylor, or really any running back that's in our top 2 tiers. Our rest of season running back rankings will come out tomorrow. You can see the top 2 tiers. I think that would be a great move, especially if we have Tyler Boyd, been a must-start guy going forward. Okay. Now our next question coming out from Griffin says, traded Lockett and Chuba for Connor and Allen Lazard. Okay. Yeah, we're going to go Connor and Allen Lazard. Chuba Hubbard just has a very cap ceiling. Very cap ceiling. Okay, Bean says, drafted my guy Pollard, and it's time. So excited. Hell yeah, Pollard looks like a top 10 running back right now, my friend. And Gnarls says, at a 3-4 in a full PPR format, we have Burrow, CMC, Walker, Kupp, Waddle, Higgins, Gesicki. The bench, we have Gallup, Tua, Schultz, Dillon, Knox, Wan'Dale, IR, Jameson. Should we trade Walker and Waddle for Henry and Devonta Smith? Oh, no, we're not doing that. And also, should we trade Wan'Dale Robinson for Jamar Chase? Are you freaking kidding me? This has to be a joke, right? You're telling me you could trade Wan'Dale Robinson for Jamar Chase? Imagine if I would have told you that yesterday. Imagine if yesterday I would have said, hey guys, just to let you know, keep Wan'Dale Robinson. Tomorrow you can trade him for Jamar Chase. What the hell? Yes, go get Chase. Evan says, AJ Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, T. Higgins, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. We got to pick 2 to start. I think we're going to go with the combo of Hopkins and then, oh my gosh, probably T. Higgins. T. Higgins is looking like a borderline top 5 wide receiver. I think Higgins probably the best guy to that list. Now, J-Max says, 10-team PPR format, any moves or should we relax? We have Etienne, Swift, Jones, Walker, Waddle, Higgins, Hopkins, Tyler Boyd. Oh my gosh. Quarterbacks, Brady, Goff, tight end, Schultz, Ingram, David Njoku on the IR. Gross format requires backup quarterback, tight end, and defense. Okay, thank you for clarifying here, my friend. I mean, I think you already knew what we were going to say then. I think if we look to do anything, maybe we can kind of see what value you could get for Aaron Jones right now. Very worried about this Green Bay Packers offense. I naturally want to say, oh, okay, well, they'll bounce back. But hell, right now, Las Vegas has them as a bottom 3 offense this week against the Buffalo Bills with implied team totals. I think you probably have to be very, very concerned. And if you are going to be looking at someone like Aaron Jones, this is the perfect time to sell him. Coming off a 10 target performance, multiple receiving touchdowns. I don't know if it happens again. Okay. Jordan says, are you okay with having Lenny as your running back 2 or 3 rest of season behind Saquon and Pierce? We're 2-5 right now. Lenny and Suckup got me 25 tonight. Still have Kyler, Saquon, Pierce, Jefferson, Gabe Davis. I think you'll be fine. And it's okay to have Leonard Fournette as your running back 3. Like Fournette obviously had a fine day today. He saved himself there at the very end of the game. I mean, but maybe, just maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be in that spot often where they are just full-blown garbage time, where Fournette did get the 3 receptions, 34 receiving yards, the majority of it coming on the final drive. Obviously, he had the rushing touchdown as well. I'm going to be concerned, though, because if you look at what you had with Rachaad White was in there in the red zone as well. When they went for 2, it was Rachaad White that got the ball. It wasn't Leonard Fournette. Now, Cameron says, in a 10-team super flex, rebuilding, we have T. Higgins. Is he worth moving or hanging on to? And if we're moving him, who should we target? I mean, in a rebuilding dynasty roster, T. Higgins was drafted in 2020 at 21 years old, coming out of Clemson. The man's incredibly young still. I like holding on to him. If you were to sell, maybe you go and get a round 1 rookie wide receiver from this year's class. Maybe you go get Drake London and then also a 2023 first. If you're a rebuilding team in Dynasty, I think that could be exciting. But our next switch coming out from Katoot says 7-0, just traded Jeff. Okay, I know you're trolling us, my man. We have Mahomes, Pierce, Tyreek, Goddard, Metcalf. The bench is Jimmy G, Geno, Mostert, Wan'Dale, Campbell, Goodwin, and Odell. What should we look to do? Drop Odell Beckham Jr.? I mean, hell, it looks like he's not going to Kansas City now. I think you drop him. He's not going to be back till mid-December. You can find someone better off the waiver wire. Outside of that, I mean, I think that we could look to sell Deebo Samuel and go get, I guess we can't get T. Higgins anymore. We've been saying T. Higgins. Can't get DeAndre Hopkins anymore. We've been saying DeAndre Hopkins, but after last Thursday night, can't do that. I think the last guy you could maybe get for Deebo's Waddle that we've been recommending. I'd go get Godwin. I'd go get Evans. And then also, my man, when you have Patrick Mahomes, the worst thing about this team is you're rostering 3 quarterbacks. You have both Jimmy Garoppolo and Geno Smith and Patrick Mahomes on the same team. I need you to pick one of Jimmy G or Geno Smith to start this week, drop the other guy, and then once Mahomes is back from his bye week, then you're going to drop both. J-Max says, what did you think of Julio tonight? Stash or drop? I'm not going to fault you at all if you want to stash Julio Jones' first week back. Keep in mind, you had no Russell Gage, though. Now, TKM says, start Ramondre or Kenneth Walker at running back 2 in a full PPR league. I'm going Kenneth Walker. I'm going Walker. James says, should I do anything about the starting lineup where we have a Burrow, JT, Stevenson, Diggs, Higgins, Kelsey? Flex is either Boyd or Michael Pittman Jr. Those were the 2 guys we were talking about being back-to-back now with the injury to Jamar Chase. I will say, if you are like the heavy dog in your matchup, like if it looks like you are a heavy underdog, might as well play Boyd in the flex spot over Michael Pittman Jr. and go all in on that Cincinnati Bengals offense with Burrow, Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. And if they repeat last week, then clearly you crush. But if you are maybe a heavy favorite, maybe you diversify a little bit and go Michael Pittman Jr. over Tyler Boyd. Can everybody please spam the chat? Everybody please spam the chat. No Jamar Chase, obviously. This week, who are you starting? Tyler Boyd or Michael Pittman Jr.? Tyler Boyd or Michael Pittman Jr., please let me know. Lightning says full BBR, ETN or Amon-Ra St. Brown at the flex. I think long-term we can have this conversation. Short-term, let's just go ETN because we know he's fully healthy. Calvin says Devontae Adams, Christian Kirk for Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery. Running backs are Henry and Gus. Fair deal up to you. Fair deal up to you. Check in the chat. Looks like most people prefer Tyler Boyd. Love to see it. I love to see it. Y'all know I'm not a Michael Pittman fan. What's funny is I asked in the live stream earlier today when we were talking about the Ja'Marr Chase injury, who people would rather have between Tyler Boyd and Michael Pittman. And back then, most people said Pittman. Now, really quick, we are 2 likes away from hitting 800 likes in the stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Help us get to 800. And also, subscribe to the channel. We live stream every single day. I've not missed a day of live streaming in well over 100 days. Not going to miss a day until the end of the season. And Quinn says we're 7-0 in a 14-team full PBR format. We need wide receiver upgrades. We have Sutton, Johnson, Olave, Wilson, Kadarius Toney. So Olave and Wilson worth it for Chase and Amon-Ra St. Brown? Hell yes. Hell yes. I mean, maybe this is Hollywood Brown. I don't give a damn. You're 7-0. Go trade for Ja'Marr Chase. That's a no-brainer. Now, Ali says, had Breece Hall and Ja'Marr Chase both out. Now we have Godwin, Boyd, Najee, Sanders, Ertz, ETN, Foreman, Elliott. Elliott may be out as well. Lazard may be out as well. Drake London, Rashad White, and Joe Burrow. Who should I trade for? I'm so lost, please help. I'm very, very sorry. I feel like a lot of people in the flock had the combo of Ja'Marr Chase as well as Breece Hall. I mean, if we were looking to do something, maybe we try to trade Donta Foreman as well as Miles Sanders and get an upgrade there at the flex spot. I think Foreman does have that cap ceiling. It's also going to really have to do with your record. You don't tell us your record with this league. However, if you're like a 1-6 team, a 2-5 team, I'd be very surprised if that was the case when you had Breece Hall and Ja'Marr Chase. But if you're a team that has a very bad record, you may be in a position where you're kind of forced to sell Ja'Marr Chase. If you're 1-6, if you're 2-5, even if you're selling Chase at a discount, even if we would rather not do it, you may have no other option. But Iconic Thug coming out with a massive dono. Thank you so much. Let me skip ahead of this one and go right back to where we were. It says, trade advice. Who should I package to get a better receiver? We're 4-3 in a full BBR league where we have Kyler, Saquon, Etienne, Jefferson, Amari, the flex Walker, and then down there on the bench, Sutton, Singletary, J-Rob, Jacoby Myers, Dalton Schultz, Chuba, and then on the IR, we have Jameson Williams. Okay, so if we were looking to make a deal to get a better wide receiver here, I want to be keeping both Jefferson and Amari. I think one thing we could look to do is package together James Robinson and Courtland Sutton. I've had a lot of people lately actually really hyping up James Robinson, which is I'm surprised about. I mean, I don't see how his team looking at him, giving up on him, even though they should be contending and selling him for a 6th round pick, gives you any confidence whatsoever. Like, I don't know how you are confident in the slightest. Regarding James Robinson, if we can go out there and get that upgraded wide receiver, I'd love it. And you know I'm always looking for an opportunity to sell Courtland Sutton. Now, Angel says in a 9-team full BBR format where we're 3-4, we have Kyler, CMC, Pierce, Evans, Higgins, Higbee, Waddle, ETN, any moves. Most of it on the bench. Should we trade Evans given the Bucs struggles? Hell no. I think everybody knows about the Bucs struggles. I mean, there's still passing volume in the offense, so no, I don't think you have to make that trade. If we were looking to make a deal, I think we wait a week where you have Travis Etienne, in my opinion, crushing, and I repeat, he goes through and crushes. I'm sorry, not Travis Etienne. Raheem Mostert crushes the Detroit Lions. And then after Raheem Mostert crushes the Detroit Lions, then at that point, maybe we could explore what the cost is for him. Maybe we could look to go ahead and sell. I think that would be exciting. Now, Ethan says trade away Lenny and Amari for CMC and Devonta Smith. Is this a good deal? I think it is. Yeah, let's go get CMC. Ross says Ramondre Pierce or Michael Carter. I'm going to go Damian Pierce. TKM says full BBR. We have Chubb, Kamara, Swift, Jefferson, Hopkins, Waddle. Do I bench Alvin Kamara or DeAndre Swift? If we're going to bench Swift this week, I'd rather have Swift rest of season. I'll fight you naked out here. Long time no see. Definitely the best name in the live chat. Says 4-3, 12-team PPR format. We have Goff, Wentz, Kamara, Walker, Hunt, Jamal. Receiver, we have Adams, Diggs, Higgins, London, Pierce, Campbell. Tight end, we have Njoku and Frymuth. Any moves? First thing is, if Carson Wentz cannot be put on your IR, yeah, cut Carson Wentz. No idea what the hell Carson Wentz is doing on this team. I'm assuming he's on the IR, which if that's the case, sure, you can keep him on the IR and then cut him when he comes off. There's no reason to have him. Cut him regardless. Who cares? You can find a better IR player. And if we're to be looking to make anything else, I think now that T. Higgins is that top 5 wide receiver and we're rolling with Adams, Diggs, Higgins, let's go ahead. Let's try to trade. I mean, maybe someone like Drake London and Alvin Kamara. See if we can get a running back upgrade. See if we can go get someone like JT before you have Jameis. I mean, which who knows if James does come back. But before you have like Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry come back to this offense, I think the situation gets a little bit worse for Kamara. Or maybe you go through and trade Drake London with someone like Jared Goff, get an upgrade at quarterback. Maybe trade Drake London with Pat Frymuth, get an upgrade at tight end. I think there could be a couple different moves. Now, Tyler says in the 12-team PPR format, 3 flex spots. We have Herbert, Hall, Walker, Lamb, Bateman, Pitts, Dotson, Sky Moore, Wan'Dale Robinson, 101, 102, and 4 more 2023 first. Hold picks or buy low on some wide receivers. Now that you have Breece Hall going down for the year and Rashad Bateman injured and Kyle Pitts not doing anything, for the love of God, if you are in a dynasty spot, if you are in a dynasty league, hold on to your picks. Right now, it'd be the worst time to trade away your picks if you're a rebuilding roster in Dynasty. Those picks are only going to get more and more valuable from here on out. Andrew says, Goddard, Stevenson, Smith for Andrews, Aaron Jones, and Gabriel Davis. Andrews over Goddard. Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson. I think we prefer Stevenson, but it's close. Davis for Smith. It's going to be Davis, but it's close. I think we probably go Andrews, unless you think Andrews misses an extended period of time. Nick says, great stream as always, Mason. Thank you. Says, need a running back in a flex. We're going to go Mixon, Walker, ETN, or DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, I hate that you're doing this to us. I truly do hate that you're doing this to us. If it's a non-PPR format, we're just chasing touchdown upside. I think we go Joe Mixon and Kenneth Walker. If it's a full PPR format, I think we probably go Joe Mixon and DeAndre Hopkins. Now, Friday says, who do we play at the flex? Boyd, Sutton, or DJ Moore? Tyler Boyd by a mile. Don't overthink it. Now, SKS says, do you sleep, brother? Great stuff. Stress fracture in the hip. 6 weeks minimum. 6-1. Likely going to go 7-1. Opponent has Eckler, Kelsey, etc. out on bye. Should we trade Sutton or Boyd and Eno for Jamar Chase? We have Diggs, Higgins, and Kadarius Toney. First off, congrats on being 6-1, about to be 7-1. Second off, hell to the yes. If you're 6-1, 7-1, whatever it may be, you are essentially a lock for your fantasy football playoffs. So I think that we go ahead, trade Sutton, hand Benjamin, and get Jamar Chase back right this second. Absolute no-brainer. Now, Cameron says a 5-2 in a 10-team PPR format where we have Burrow, Kyler, Mixon, Barkley, Connor Harris, Jefferson, Brown, Lamb, Godwin, Tony, Hill, Hurst. Any moves that we're looking to make? I think right now, Taysom Hill could be an intriguing guy to sell. You have Aiden Hurst, who I think gets a bump up with Jamar Chase being out. And with Taysom Hill, looks very nice as we have Andy Dalton as the starting quarterback, as Michael Thomas doesn't look to be coming back anytime soon, as Jarvis Landry doesn't look to be coming back anytime soon, but this may change. I don't know. I think that we could go ahead and package Taysom Hill, maybe with someone else in this starting lineup. Maybe go package him. I don't want to be doing that. The quarterback. I don't know. You have a great team. I'm grasping at straws, trying to come up with something. I think you can just sit still. Lewis says, thoughts about George Kittle. Should I hold him or trade him while he's hot? Go Horns. Hug him, Horns, my friend. But it is a sad time to be a Longhorn, as it always is. If we are looking at George Kittle, hell yeah, he's hot. I think that Christian McCaffrey probably hurts him a little bit less. I don't know. I would look to keep Kittle because what I've found is people aren't willing to go out there and overpay for George Kittle. Very rarely do I see someone going through and giving up a ton for him. Most George Kittle trades that I see, I actually kind of fall in line with the George Kittle side, even if CMC does slightly hurt him. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Ant says, 5-2, but we lost Brees. Should we go to fill the space with what pieces? We have Burrow, Walker, Swift. My man, you have Walker and Swift. You're fine. Tyreek, Kirk, Henderson, Kittle, and you have Henderson. You're fine. Keenan, Hubbard, and Wandell. Thanks for help. No, thank you so much. You're in a perfect spot. If you wanted to do something, let's go ahead. Let's try to back together Wandell Robinson with Chuba Hubbard and see if we can get someone just a little bit better as someone that doesn't have a cap ceiling. With Wandell, super exciting player, but I found that people are losing their minds with this value. I mean, they are losing their minds right now. So, I mean, I would go ahead and I would look to sell just because, I mean, the Tony trade doesn't really affect much. Tony wasn't playing anyway. He was locked in that doghouse. Christian says, should we hold Fournette or trade him? We've been saying to trade him for ETN. I would not hesitate to still do that. Now, our next question coming out from Jacob says, hey, Mason, 3-4 now. Because of you, won 2 in a row. Jamar going down is brutal. Oh, my gosh. Team this week is Jones, Linney, Barkley, Terry, Cooks, Ertz, most hurt. How do we improve? We have Myers, London, Campbell on the bench. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, my friend. This is specifically the roster where we have to sell Jamar Chase at a discount. This could not pain me more. I am very, very sorry to say this, but hell, if he misses 6 weeks, and we're rolling out Terry McLaurin and Brandon Cooks every week at the wide receiver position, I think we probably lose at least 4 of those 6. We lose 4 of those 6. We're falling to 6 and 8. Who knows if we're making the fantasy football playoffs? So I really hate to say this. I think this is one of those spots where you have to go through and you have to sell Jamar Chase and get back someone like T. Higgins as an example. That maybe in the long term doesn't have the same ceiling, but in the short term is actually going to score you fantasy points. Now, Harry Beto says, 4-3, just trade Chase for CeeDee Lamb and Tyler Boyd. I also have Barkley, Diggs, Swift. What do you think? I mean, this is the exact trade we're looking for on that 3-4 roster. Yes. If you were close to 500, you have Jamar Chase, you don't feel comfortable with your starting lineup. I mean, if you can trade him for someone like CeeDee Lamb and Tyler Boyd, I think that's a fair package. Now, Frankie says, I have Chase. Do I trade Pierce for Higgins and James Conner? Hell yeah, I'd trade Dameon Pierce for T. Higgins and James Conner, regardless if we had Chase. Roy says Eckler, Aaron Jones, Gus Edwards, Rashad White, Khalil Herbert, Kupp, Higgins, Amon-Ra, Godwin, Garrett Wilson. We're 5-2 in a 10-team full PPR format. So don't we have enough wide receiver depth to trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for DeAndre Swift? Yeah, I mean, I think you would be fine if you wanted to do this, especially with T. Higgins breaking out as that top 5 wide receiver. I mean, I think both players in Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift are very comparable from a fantasy football perspective with what their value should be going forward. Obviously, in the same offense, this offense is through their bye. Yeah, trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for DeAndre Swift if you think we're good at receiver and need some running back help. Now, Iggy Biggie says, please rank Juju, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Myers for trade. Okay, so I think we still go Juju 1, DJ Moore 2, Myers 3, and Curtis Samuel 4. Really? Curtis Samuel's been getting targeted, but at the same time, if you had no John Dotson, when Jahan Dotson comes back, God knows what it's going to be like. And real quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 900 likes in the live stream, so please go down there. Drop a like on the stream if you have not done so already. Helps us out a ton. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I've not missed a single day of live streaming in well over 100 days. Not going to miss a single day until the end of the season either. So if you aren't subscribed, what are you doing? Fix your freaking life. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Brian says, trade away Mike Evans for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have CMC, Kenneth Walker, James Conner, then Andrews, Waddle, Evans, Devonta Smith, George Pickens. Any other thoughts? Okay. Looking at the roster, I think I would sell Mike Evans for Amon-Ra St. Brown if you were playing in a full PPR league where Amon-Ra St. Brown can obviously have that target volume as that slot wide receiver. However, if you're playing in a non-PBR format, despite the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive struggles, I still think you probably have significantly more touchdown upside with Evans. So we would go Evans in that context. Now, Animal Mother says Kareem Hunt for Latavius Murray. Oh, Kareem Hunt easily. Wide receiver to replace Chase. Should we pick up Odell Beckham Jr.? No, don't pick up Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, Odell, maybe you could make the argument you'd be very excited if he went to Kansas City. It's not happening anymore. And at the same time, with Odell Beckham Jr., sounds like he's not coming back literally mid-December. Now, Dutch says in a 10-team PBR format where we're 6-1, we have Hurts, Tua, Chubb, Pierce, Walker, Etienne, Jefferson, Adams, Brown, Hopkins, Njoku, Hayden, Hurst. The Bills defense, Tucker, need 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. What? Who the hell do I sit? LOL. I mean, hell, it's a good problem to have. I mean, I think we play Nick Chubb and Travis Etienne in a full PBR format. Receiver, we're going to go Jefferson and Adams. For the flex, oh my gosh. I guess we go DeAndre Hopkins in the full PBR league, but that means on our bench, we have Dameon Pierce, Kenneth Walker, AJ Brown, Tua Tagovailoa. You know what this means, my friend? You have no excuse to not go out there and trade for an elite level quarterback. Go get an elite level an elite level tight end. Go get Kelsey. Go get Andrews. Even with the Andrews injury, maybe that opens up the buy low window for you. Because if we're sitting with freaking Walker, Pierce, AJ Brown on our bench every week, just wasting so many points. Now, Worth says in a 10-team full PBR format, we're 5-2. We have Lamar, Henry, CD, Jefferson, Brown, Kittle, Sutton, Juju, Dobbins, Eno, Brady, any moves. I think if we were looking to do something, let's go ahead. Let's try to package together Sutton and Eno Benjamin. Get an upgrade at wide receiver. I know you're not getting much for Eno. I mean, but with Eno, I've had some people saying that he's going to be startable going forward. With James Conner coming back in, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that he's probably someone that you're going to have to bench every single week. And if we are looking at Courtland Sutton, I'm not a fan. God knows how long we've talked about not being a fan of Courtland Sutton. I still think the fantasy football community overvalues him. I don't know. Now, Eric says in a 10-team PBR league, we have Hurts, Geno, CD, Godwin, Waddle, Henry, Brian Robinson, and Singletary, and Njoku, Pitts. Want a better running back too? What are your thoughts? Hell, I agree with you. I want a better running back too as well. I think if we can go through trade Brian Robinson and then a depth wide receiver as well as Geno Smith and get a better running back too, I'd really like it. I think Brian Robinson's in a 3-man committee and one of the worst offenses in the NFL. And also the same thing, my man. I mean, if you're rolling with Jalen Hurts is already through his bye. Jalen Hurts is a must-start quarterback every single week. Every single week. Don't overthink this. I mean, if you could go through and move Geno Smith and get any value whatsoever, I don't want to be rostering a backup quarterback here. I'd rather have that spot for a running back. Riggy says, Pitts, Claypool, Gordon for James Conner. Is this a good deal? It's okay. It's okay. Now, Joa says, trade Scary Terry for Khalil Herbert. What do you think? I mean, I think it's fine if you want a premium handcuff running back. If it's like a 10-team league with only one flex spot, who the hell cares? You're never going to start Terry anyway. But Joel coming out with a massive dono. Thank you so much. Let me skip ahead of this. We'll go right back to where we were. It says 4-3 in at PPR league. We have Burrow, Henry, Chubb, Zeke, Eno, London, Rondale, DK, Dobbs, Hardman, Dotson, Thornton, TJ Hawkinson, Higbee, Lawrence. Pick 2 receivers in a flex to start with DK Metcalf being out and what potential trades to make. Okay, so our 2 wide receivers. I mean, oh my gosh, this is gross. Probably Romeo Dobbs, knowing that Lazard's banged up with the shoulder. Cobb on the IR. Christian Watson, I don't know if he's playing with the hamstring this week. Hopefully for our best ball teams, he is playing. And then for a second wide receiver, can y'all please spam the chat for me real quick? Can everybody please spam the chat? Who would you rather start? Would you rather start Rondale Moore or Drake London? Rondale Moore or Drake London. I mean, London had 0 receptions this past week. An offense with absolutely no volume whatsoever, but London does have a good matchup going up against Carolina. And if we were going to be looking at the flex, you're going to put a tight end at the flex. I hate telling people to flex a tight end, but I think you go Hawkinson and Higbee in this starting lineup with these being the players. I mean, I don't know. You're in a tough spot. I don't even know what a trade we can make is. Maybe Hawkinson and like Drake London and go get a wide receiver upgrade in the long term. Maybe that could be the play. But in terms of the wide receiver that we're going to be starting here, looks like everybody's taking Rondale Moore. Looks like everybody's taking Rondale Moore over Drake London, which I probably agree with. It's just so tough when Drake London's such a talented guy. Now, next question coming out from Robert says, traded Swift, Gibson, Hardman for Diggs and Edwards. Great deal. Teams now Allen, Barkley, Jacobs, Kupp, Diggs, Knox, and Raheem Mostert going all in on that Buffalo Bills offense, but I like it, my friend. Now, E. Steffi says, Dalvin or Dameon Pierce this week. Ooh, if you're looking at my rankings, we are going to have these guys very close together. I mean, let me pull this up really quick for you just to give you the exact mark for these players. I have Dameon Pierce running back 13 and Dalvin Cook running back 14. Literally have them back to back. So honestly, my friend, if I have someone back to back like that, up to you, you do what you want. Up to you, you do what you want. Work for what you want coming out here. Thank you, says, got off for JT, CeeDee Lamb, and Christian Kirk. I'm going to take a guess here. Based on the trade values we've seen with Jonathan Taylor as of late on this live stream, we're probably taking Jonathan Taylor. For Cooper Kupp and Ramondre Stevenson, welp, never mind. I'd rather have Cooper Kupp easily over Jonathan Taylor. Ramondre Stevenson versus CeeDee Lamb. Give me CeeDee Lamb, but I think there are actually some psychos out there that rather have Ramondre. Traded CD to this owner for Waddle and ETN. Also have Connor and Eno, Mike Williams, and Hollywood Brown. I think we keep Kupp and Ramondre Stevenson. I like the idea. The issue is Ramondre Stevenson just has significantly more value in fantasy football right now. Like looking at the deals that people are able to make regarding Ramondre Stevenson, I think you could squeeze a little more value. And Jason says we have Watson, Cousins, Barkley, Etienne, Mostert, Herbert, Pacheco, Jefferson, Brown, Waddle, Sutton, Rondale, and TJ Hawkinson. 5-2 in a 12-team PPR format. What are your thoughts? Really like the team. Obviously, there's a reason that we're 5-2. I think Wan'Dale Robinson as our wide receiver 4 year is going to be a player that we could look to sell. People are jacking up the value of Wan'Dale Robinson. Super exciting player coming out of Kentucky. I'm rooting for him. I want him to do well. But it's not like this Kadarius Toney trade, in my opinion, changes too much. It's not like Kadarius Toney was playing anyway. So if we could go through and maybe package together like Wan'Dale Robinson and Raheem Mostert after this week, after Mostert goes out there and crushes the Detroit Lions, I would really like that, my friend. Okay. So now our next question coming out from Angel says, trade A.J. Brown for T. Higgins. Yes, I'll do that in a heartbeat. Yes. 6 letters says, dynasty rebuild, Burrow for Trevor Lawrence, London, in a future second. If it's a league where you can start 11 or more players, then sure. If it's a 12-team league where you start 11 or more players, then sure. However, I'm a little bit hesitant because I know we've had some people coming out in this live stream that I guess maybe are in casual dynasty formats where you only have like 2 flex spots, where their Burrow in a super flex league is going to be worth so damn much. Now, really quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 1,000 likes in the live stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. Be our 1,000th like of the stream. Help us get there. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We live stream every single day. I've not missed a day of live streaming in well over 100 days. And JB says, getting Tua and Debo for Mark Andrews. I'd probably rather have Andrews. Malachi says, who do I start my flex and wide receiver 2 spot? Between Devonta Smith, Gabriel Davis, or DeAndre Swift. Wide receiver 2, we're going to go Gabe Davis. Flex, we're going to go Swift. We have Mixon, Stevenson, Kupp. Yeah, let's go. Gabe Davis and Swift, bench Devonta Smith. Now, Chisel says 10-team BBR format where we have Burrow, Goff, Herbert, Henry, Mixon, Etienne, Carter, Lamb, Hopkins, Evans, Deontay, Boyd, Wan'Dale, Myers, Gesicki, and Njoku. Moves to make, and should we start Etienne or Joe Mixon? We'll go with Mixon. And moves to make, my friend, you got 5 spots on your roster allocated to quarterback and tight end. For the love of God, go out there and drop Jared Goff. You have freaking Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert with this team. Outside of that, it's a phenomenal roster. If we could package together Wan'Dale Robinson as like our wide receiver 5 or wide receiver 6 here with either Gesicki or David Njoku to get an upgrade at tight end, I would really like that. But Herbert and Burrow together is already overkill. The fact that you have 3 freaking quarterbacks in this team, what the hell are we doing here? Wes says, need a win or go home. Trade Debo to acquire Lockett along with another flex like Dillon or Montgomery. Probably not. I think Debo does get a significant hit with CMC coming over. Probably not making this, though. Now, Briggs says we have Swift, Ramondre, Najee, Boyd, Waddle, Gabe Davis, and Olave. Who do we start? 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. I think we're going to go through. I think that we're going to start the combo of DeAndre Swift, Ramondre Stevenson, Waddle, Gabriel Davis. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Waddle and Chris Olave. And then between Gabriel Davis and Tyler Boyd, if it's a full PPR format, we go Tyler Boyd. If it's a non-PPR league where you're more prioritizing touchdowns and big playability, we're to go Gabe Davis. Now, Stu says we need a running back, 2 receivers, and a flex between Pollard, Lockett, Olave, Hopkins, Foreman, Boyd, and Christian Kirk. Running back, we're going to go Tony Pollard with Ezekiel Elliott missing. 2 receivers, we're going to go Olave and DeAndre Hopkins. And then in the flex spot, we're going to go with Tyler Boyd. Now, Sheriff says getting offered ETN 2 future first and Adam Thielen to give away Justin Jefferson in the dynasty format. Some of my receivers are Pittman, Godwin, Jameson, and Tyler Lockett. If this is a dynasty super flex league, give me ETN, the 2 future first, and Adam Thielen over Justin Jefferson. Only if it's super flex, because in a super flex dynasty league, those rookie picks are going to be worth a little bit more. Anthony says trade Josh Allen for both Tyreek Hill and DeAndre Hopkins. I would then stay with Tua. What are your thoughts? I think it's a good deal. Yeah, let's go get Tyreek and DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, both of them look to be top 10 wide receivers locked and loaded. Now, Derek coming out, thank you, says Jones, Henry, Cooks, Evans, Pittman, Stevenson on the bench. Mahomes, Lamb, Zeke, Judy, Devonta Smith, Gerald Everett, Michael Thomas. We need a tight end. Who can I package for a good tight end? And who should I start this week? We're 4-3. If we were looking to make a deal for a good tight end, my friend, I would not be surprised if you could trade Ramondre Stevenson at this point, move Ramondre Stevenson and Gerald Everett, get Mark Andrews. I know that's not going to help us for this week, but I think that could be exciting. And then in terms of this starting lineup, I think that we would go ahead, take out Brandon Cooks. I'm sorry, my friend. I'm having a hard time looking at how you worded this question. The starting lineup would be at quarterback, Daniel Jones. I'm assuming because obviously we have Mahomes on bye. Good matchup against Seattle. Running back, we're to go with the combo of Derrick Henry as well as, Ezekiel Elliott is out here. So Ramondre Stevenson will go Derrick Henry and Ramondre Stevenson. Receiver, we already played Evans. I would go CeeDee Lamb as wide receiver 2. And then for that flex spot, we would be going Pittman. We'll be going Pittman. I think you can get Andrews real cheap with how good Isaiah Likely just looked. Connor says, if Zeke sits, do you start Pollard over DeAndre Swift this week? Yes. Going up against Chicago, I would. Derek says, should I panic with Stevenson? Who else can I package with Stevenson for a running back? I tried ETM, but they said no. Jacobs need help. By the way, love the videos. I know, my man. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You should not panic with Ramondre Stevenson at all. We're calling Ramondre Stevenson a sell-high player because if you're looking at the value that people are able to get for Ramondre Stevenson right now, legitimately ridiculous. I mean, people are going through and moving Ramondre Stevenson in a wide receiver 2 and getting back someone like freaking Jonathan Taylor. Like, it is absolutely crazy that value you are getting with Ramondre. However, if we're looking at your league mates maybe not being that excited, hell, you can roll with them. I mean, he's still going to catch the ball out of the backfield. I just think that a lot of the dialogue has been centered around Damian Harris being completely removed from this offense. And while Damian Harris does not look good, I've never been a fan of Damian Harris, I do think that he probably does have a role going forward. How large that role is, that's hard to know, but I think he's going to be playing more than 9 snaps. I mean, he played 9 snaps this past week because, hell, they trailed the entire game. Now, Super Joe Tendo says, yo, I'm 2-5 right now. We had the first pick with JT, Aaron Rodgers, Connor, Dameon Pierce, Adam Thielen, DJ Moore, Andrews London. The bench is Hubbard, McKenzie, and Kyle Pitts. Okay, so this will be the exact opposite recommendation I just gave Derek. I think if you were 2-5 and you just had this Mark Andrews injury, if we're 2-5, we need help. Now, you said it best. We need to go through. We need to make some dramatic moves. I think that we need to make a play ASAP to get someone that's actually going to be startable for us in our starting lineup. I would go ahead. I would probably look to sell Mark Andrews. Not even get a tight end in return. I mean, we can just close our eyes and play Kyle Pitts and pray for the best. Probably who knows how it works out. But if we could package together like Andrews and then a receiver like Adam Thielen, who right now is in your flex, and get back a respectable wide receiver who can play every week, I would really like that. Because if you're 1-6, if you're 2-5, it's go time. We got to start putting points up on the board. Now, Sawyer says play 2. We have Cooks, Ayuk, Boyd, Ramondre, and Amari. We're going to go with the combination of Boyd and Ramondre. M. Robinson says, we're 4-3 in a 10-team full PPR format with one flex spot. We have Allen, Mixon, Sanders, Devontae Adams, Keenan, Higbee, Waddle, Devonta, Pollard, Carter, Samuel, Tony. Fred wants to trade Diggs for a running back and receiver. Who are we moving? Okay, so I think the running back is going to be Miles Sanders that we're looking to get off of. I think if we could go like Miles Sanders and Keenan Allen, Miles Sanders and Devonta Smith, I would really like that move to go get Stephon Diggs. If Miles Sanders isn't getting done, I mean, hell, we could swap him with Tony Pollard. I just assumed that Sanders would get it done. And if we need to add a third guy in there, if we need to add a Kadarius Toney into the mix, we need to add a Michael Carter in the mix, I'd be fine doing that. I mean, hell, I'd be fine paying up a ton to get Stephon Diggs right now, the wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy. Plus, you have Josh Allen, so you're already making the bet on the offense. Now, Dylan says, traded Debo, Ramondre, and Carter for CMC and Devonta Smith. This is the Ramondre value that we've been talking about. This is why we've been talking about selling Ramondre Stevenson, because people are freaking getting like Christian McCaffrey in here. We have Chubb, Chuba, Hines, Madison, Jamar, Olave, Pickens, and Amari. We're 5-2. Team's going to be in a little bit of pain for the time being, but long-term when we get Jamar Chase back in, it's going to be a great spot. Joey says, should I trade Hurts for Derek Carr and Jamar Chase? Carr would be my starter. We have Adams, Brown, Waddle, but if I can get Chase for the playoffs. If you are 6-1, yes. If you are 5-2 or better, then yes, we're going to do it. Because there, I agree with you. I think we should be prioritizing in on the fantasy football playoffs. And I mean, you do have a ton of excitement with Jamar Chase there. Max says, in a Dynasty 1 QB league, send Gus a late 2024 first and second. Please, for the love of God, don't be trying to project where those 2024 picks are going to be. So we're sending Gus a future first and second, getting back Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, and 2 early thirds. And don't be projecting. No. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. Keep the first round pick over the Chicago Bears starting running backs. The starting running back in Chicago, in my opinion, is not worth as much as a 2024 first and second round pick in a dynasty format. Even if you think it's late, there's a lot that can change by the time we get to 2024. I mean, think about it. We're in 2022 right now. Think all the way back to 2020 at this time, when NFL games were being played with no fans. That's how long 2 years is. So much can change. So much can change. You don't know if that's going to be a late pick or not. Okay. So now our next question coming out from Josh says, should I accept the trade to receive Pearson Carter for DeAndre Hopkins? Running backs are Lenny, Zeke, Hines, Kyron with Dearness Johnson. Receivers are Chase, Hopkins, Godwin, Lockett, Wandale, Michael Thomas, and others. 12-team full PPR format. So essentially the trade is we're trading away DeAndre Hopkins for Dameon Pierce. I would say in a full PPR format, I kind of want to lean with Hopkins here. However, your running back room is looking gross, so you may just have to do it. I would first try to sell Wandale Robinson and Leonard Fournette in a package, however, to get an upgrade at RB that way. Joey says, should I trade? No, we already answered that one. Dean B says, traded Fournette for ETN before the night. Love it, my man. Also, trade Kenneth Walker for DeAndre Swift in a PPR league if I can. Full PPR format, I will take DeAndre Swift over Kenneth Walker. Don't get mad at me, Kenneth Walker, my second most drafted player, but I would go with DeAndre Swift in a full PPR league. Okay. But now our next donation, we actually have a massive one coming out. Let me go ahead and skip to this and go right back to where we were. Hoyser coming out. Thank you. So 7-0 in a 10-team PPR format where we have Lamar, Barkley, Chubb, Sanders, Jefferson, Brown, Pittman, and then on the bench, We have Curtis Bateman, Wan'Dale, Michael Thomas. Am I good with the squad? I was thinking of trying to trade Pittman and Sanders for Swift and Devonta Smith. I would love that deal in a full PPR format, my friend, especially in a 10-team league. Where in that 10-team league, we shouldn't really be prioritizing having that depth. Instead, we should be prioritizing having the best player in the deal, getting that upside, especially when you're 7-0 and we're going to be looking for the fantasy football playoffs here. One other move that I would potentially be looking to make is trading Wan'Dale Robinson right now. I mean, with Wan'Dale Robinson, super exciting player. I am very excited about him. I am going to be rooting for him as well. Loved him coming out of Kentucky, but if we're going to be fair, if we are going to be honest, with Wan'Dale Robinson, it's a tough spot. There's not a lot of passing volume. People are hyping him up a ton right now because of the Kadarius Toney trade, and I don't think much changed with the Kadarius Toney trade. Tony wasn't getting involved regardless. And Mitchell says, we're 3-4 in a 12-team PPR format. We have an injured Chase, Sutton, Barkley, Ramadre, CEH, Henderson, Pickens, Wan'Dale, Benjamin. Do you have any trade suggestions? Trade Sutton and Wan'Dale Robinson. Get the best wide receiver you can. If you can get Hopkins, if you can get Higgins. Obviously, I don't know if we can do that anymore. It's just the guys we usually recommend. If we can go get Waddle, I'd love it. Alondra says, Debo for Hopkins. Give me Hopkins by a mile. Matt says, should I drop Darnell Mooney for Kadarius Toney? Hell yes. Dean B says, if I could land ETN or Higgins for CMC, should I do it? Or ETN and Higgins for CMC, should we do it? This is, maybe if you're in like a 12-team league with multiple flex spots, then sure. I mean, if you only have one flex, then no. Jonathan says, we're 6-1 in a 10-team league. How do you feel about the roster where we have Allen, Dalvin, Chubb, Davis, Ayuk, Kelsey, Pierce, Juju, Dylan, Madison, Jameson, Garrett Wilson, Tua, Donta Foreman, and then Hollywood on the IR? Really like the team. I mean, you have the quarterback 1 overall in fantasy. You have the tight end 1 overall in fantasy. I mean, I would maybe tell you to try to go through and sell high on Gabriel Davis, but when you're already betting on Josh Allen, then no. I think we just keep that consolidated bet with that Buffalo Bills offense. Love the team. And I love down there on the bench, we are prioritizing having those high upside guys like Dylan, Madison, Jameson, that if something changed in their situation, they are league winners. One quick side note, now that you have Josh Allen back from his bye, I'd be looking to package Tua Tagovailoa with maybe another player in the starting lineup like Tua and Ayuk to get an upgrade at wide receiver. Albert says, PPR, we have Herbert, Barkley, Foreman, J-Rob, Dillon, Jefferson, Waddle, Higgins, Devonta Smith. Should we trade Barkley for Walker and ETN? Walker is the only keeper. I think if we are going to be looking at this roster, you don't have much depth here at running back where I would be okay if you wanted to do this. Can y'all please spam the chat? Right now, your running back 2 is Donta Foreman. Your running back 2 is Donta Foreman. Would you rather have Saquon Barkley or Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne? We have over 1,000 people out here in the live stream. Please go down there, spam the chat. Let me know what you would rather have. And also, hit that like button. We are 1 like away from hitting 1,100 likes in the stream. Subscribe to the channel as well. We live stream every single night. Have not taken a day off in well over 100 days. So please go down there, drop that like, and subscribe. Meach says, you're a stud in your field of work. Thank you for your hard work. No, thank you so much. Pickens or Michael Carter? I'd say this week in particular, whenever you have James Robinson probably being brought on slowly, and at the same time, you have a very tough matchup for George Pickens, I'm not going to fault you at all if you want to go through and play Michael Carter. Now, looks like most people prefer ETN and Walker. I mean, y'all know, like I'm always going to say this, Walker, second most drafted running back, only behind Josh Jacobs. Like, I do like me some Kenneth Walker. I like me some Travis Etienne. Y'all know that. But Saquon Barkley is so freaking good. Austin says, what do we do with the team where we're 3-4? We have Burrow, Etienne, Swift, Chase, Pickens, Carter, Pitts, Renfro, Edwards, Tony, Hollywood, Kyler Williams. If we had the Hollywood injury and now we have Jamar Chase going down and we're 3-4, I'm sorry. We got to sell Jamar Chase at a discount. Most teams, I'm going to be telling to just hold on to Jamar Chase. You're going to be selling at a discount. He's going to give you so much upside at the end of the year that there would be no reason to ever go through and sell. However, with this context in particular, if you are in a situation where you lost Hollywood. You have a losing record. It's not like we can sit around and wait for the fantasy football playoffs with the upside that he'll have, because if we don't make a play now, we may not be in the playoffs. Now, Mr. Filthy Wub says, in a 12-team league, who should we flex? Pickens or Donta Foreman? I'm going to go with Donta Foreman given the great matchup you have against the Falcons compared to George Pickens and the horrible matchup you have against the Eagles. Now, Junie says Gabe Davis and James Robinson for Najee and Allen Lazard. I probably go. I don't want to say it out loud. I probably go Najee. Let me pull up this schedule for the Steelers, because if we are fair with the Steelers here, they have just played the Jets, Pats. So far this season, they played the Bengals, Steelers, Browns, Jets, Bills, Bucs, Dolphins. This week, they're going up against the Eagles. Then they have the Saints. Then they have the Bengals. So they have Najee Harris just has tough matchup after tough matchup after tough matchup. Oh my gosh. I feel bad for Najee. I wanted to say his matchup, his schedule is going to get a little easier going forward, but that's just a liar. He's had one of the hardest schedules so far this season, and it does not look like it's getting any better. Dear God. Okay. But Jeff coming out with the donation. Thank you. Says, Mason, good look on the Leonard Fournette pick. I did a pick him 3. Got lucky with Lamar getting 281 yards. You just won me $1,200. Oh my gosh. Any advice for me? I'm currently 6-1. We have Chase and Debo. Do I make any moves? Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. Congrats on the big time win. And we are literally on fire. When's the last Thursday night game that we got our pick 'em wrong? If y'all did not see it, every single day this week, saying to take the Leonard Fournette less than 86.5 total yards. Don't know what you were doing. Don't know what you were listening to. You should have listened to us. Of course, if you want to check out any of those player props, link in the live chat, link in the comment section, promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit offer to up to 100, so it's pretty much free to check out. Congrats on winning that 1,200, my man. And if we're looking at moving Jamar Chase, not on a 6-1 roster, you want to keep him. And with Deebo Samuel as well. Deebo's a player that I actually would be looking to sell. You're going to be selling him at a massive discount, if I'm going to be honest with you. Most people know that Christian McCaffrey negatively impacts his value, but I don't care. I don't care. If we are selling at this discount, I'll still go through and do it. I'm still willing to sell Deebo Samuel at a discount because I think it is a big time hit here. I truly do. Now, Jake says Waddle and ETN for Kupp and James Conner. So Waddle, ETN, some of my favorite players. I have them on every team essentially, but hell yeah, I'll trade them for Kupp and Conner. Roy says, second part of my Amon-Ra Swift question. Would you rather have Swift or ETN long-term? So we've been talking about this for pretty much all week. And I'm sorry. I know this is the worst answer I could ever give. DeAndre Swift and Travis Etienne are legitimately identical to me. They're the same exact player. I think it's your personal preference. If I was to come out here and tell you who I would rather have, if you ask me this question 100 times, I'm going to give you 50 answers for DeAndre Swift. I'll give you 50 answers for Travis Etienne. So to be honest with you, my friend, I don't think my opinion matters at all when it comes to this. Now, 420 Gale says, just sent James Conner, Darren Waller for Dalvin Cook. Think that we can get it done. Might look for Aaron Jones as well. He has Najee and James Robinson a bargain. Hell yeah. If we could go get Dalvin and Aaron Jones with this deal, of course we're going to do it. Darren Waller with the hamstring is very, very concerning. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if you could get this value for Darren Waller. If you could, you must be a master negotiator here. Now, Dan says Henderson or Raheem Mostert for Devonta Smith. We have Waddle, Hill, Gabe Davis, Pickett, Eckler, Saquon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. What a better running back 3. I would trade Devonta Smith for your choice between Darrell Henderson and Raheem Mostert if you want that better running back 3. First, try to package Devonta Smith with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, see if we can get a better running back in the first place. Chill Park Boy says Herbert or Hurts. We're going to go Hurts. Kamara or Walker. We're going to go Kamara in a full PPR league. A.J. Brown or Jamar Chase. Oh, A.J. Brown easily. A.J. Brown easily. Now, James says Brady, Kamara, Etienne, Kupp, Brown, Walker, Goddard, Pacheco, Herbert, Rashad White, Ryan Robinson, Debo, Tony, Keenan, Jameson, Dobbins, Deshaun Watson. Trade Kamara and Allen for Jonathan Taylor in a PPR format. I'm not a big fan of trading away Keenan Allen right now. I probably would, just because I do think that Jonathan Taylor is so much better than Kamara going forward. If this is like a 10-team league, then sure, you have enough depth to get this deal done. Let's go get Taylor. I just really don't like trading away Keenan Allen, knowing that you have Mike Williams injured, so Keenan is naturally just in a phenomenal spot. He's in an elite level offense. I think he will be fully healthy out of the bye. So it's an interesting situation. Now, Bruno says, lost Brees. We have Kamara, Michael Thomas for Olave and the Bills defense. Oh, I mean, Kamara and Michael Thomas easily. I know the Bills defense is great, but it's not worth this much. Now, Jacob says 4-3, Hurts, Evans, Pittman, Boyd, Wandale, Myers, Dalvin, Brian Robinson, James Cook, Dobbins, Pacheco. Was offered Eckler for Evans and Dalvin. F it. Let's do it. Let's do it. If you're looking at Austin Eckler, the man's averaged 25 points per game so far this season. He's the running back one by a long shot as well. In a full PPR format, he's just so damn exciting. Jacob says, Dalton, Jimmy G, Russ, or Mariota for Mahomes this week. I think we're going to be going with Jimmy G now that he has Christian McCaffrey fully up to speed. Chisel says, I forgot to mention, it's a 2-quarterback league. Is this the league where we had 3 QBs? Okay, that makes so much more sense. Okay, this is a very good roster then, my man. Love that. Now, No Man Saying says, we have Waddle, Pickens, and Njoku for Stevenson and Brian Robinson Jr. We're good with Dalvin Walker, 4-minute running back, but dead at receiver. It's a 12-team league. What are you thinking? I'd be fine if you wanted to take Waddle over Ramondre Stevenson. If you needed wide receiver help, especially if we just had a Jamar Chase injury or we had a Hollywood Brown injury earlier in the season, let's go get Waddle. But full transparency, my most drafted wide receiver, I have him everywhere. Sando says, start Swift coming off an injury or down to Foreman. Swift easily. Alvaro says, should I trade Eckler for Jefferson and Miles Sanders? Yes, if you need a receiver, let's go get Jefferson and Sanders. Now, ZBR Attacks says, love the streams. Thank you. Who do we flex? DJ, Darrell Henderson, Brian Robinson, Jacoby Myers. We're 4-3 in the standard format. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play Darrell Henderson. I know a lot of people think Kyron Williams is going to have a super large role, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I think Kyron Williams is essentially Malcolm Brown in this offense. I think Darrell Henderson gets almost every touch out of this backfield with an injured Cam Akers. I'm sorry, with not an injured Cam Akers. With Cam Akers, just not with the team. Colby says, Robinson, Pickens, or Antonio Gibson at the flex this week. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play Pickens despite the very top matchup. Now, Chief Reefer says, Mixon, Mostert, Lenny, Etienne, Carter. Should we trade Mostert and Carter for Jamar Chase? Hell yes. Let's go ahead. Let's get Chase. I mean, I think that he misses a decent amount of time here, but you can make this Chase deal. Send up a prayer that he comes back in 4 weeks. If he comes back in 4 weeks, you're in a great spot. Chibber says, PBR format, should I start Kenneth Walker or Raheem Mostert? We're going to go with Walker, despite Mostert having a great matchup. Speed Lever says, give Swift, Pittman, New England defense for Lamb, Etienne, and Michael Thomas. So Swift to Lamb, kind of call it a downgrade. Or Swift to Etienne, lateral move, who the hell cares? Pittman to CeeDee Lamb, massive upgrade. New England defense to Darrell Henderson or / Michael Thomas, whoever you want there. I mean, who cares? Yeah, let's make the deal. I think we're getting a massive upgrade at wide receiver, and at running back, it's a lateral move. But real quick, let me skip ahead and go over to Joe's Massive Dono. Thank you so much, my friend. Says, hey, Mason, in a 10-team PPR format, we're 5-2. We have Burrow, Barkley, Walker, Henderson, Higgins, Olave, Pitts, and Jamar Chase. Should we go Hayden Hurst over Kyle Pitts? Yes. I mean, I hate to say it. Pains me to say it. I have Kyle Pitts in way too many leagues. I wish I didn't. But with Hayden Hurst now being in an offense with no Jamar Chase, I think it's more exciting. And what do we do with Chase? Think they hold him out for the year. Thank you. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I think if you are 5-2, you're fine. Hold Jamar Chase. I think Chase most likely misses about 6 weeks. Of course, I'm not Jamar Chase. I'm not this coaching staff. I don't have the exact answer here. But if we're 5-2, we are on pace to get to the fantasy football playoffs. A lot would have to happen for that not to be the case. So I think you're going to be in a fine spot, my friend. I think you'll be in a fine spot. Okay. So now our next question coming out from Drew says, in a full PPR league, what trade should I accept? Cortland Sutton and Singletary for Keenan Allen? Nope, give me Keenan. Or Singletary and Curtis Samuel for Michael Pittman? Neither. I would rather have Keenan Allen and Michael Pittman. Alex says, 12-team league, got offered Cook, Brown for Justin Jefferson and Raheem Mostert. Oh, give me Justin Jefferson easily. Oh, give me Jefferson easily. Now, Rob says, PBR, we have Tua, Lamb, lost Mike Williams, Alec Pierce, Alvin Kamara, Mixon, Etienne, Stevenson, Hurst, Pitts, Claypool, White, Carr. Jameson on the IR. We want to trade for a receiver. If we want to get to move for a receiver, I think we'd go Ramondre Stevenson and Mike Williams, get the best wide receiver you can in return. I mean, based on some of the trades we've seen with Ramondre Stevenson, where Ramondre Stevenson gets you in the door to go through and trade for Jonathan Taylor, trade for CMC. Maybe you could trade Ramondre and Mike Williams, get Avante Adams. I mean, people are over the moon about Ramondre Stevenson right now. Cameron says, I'm in an 8-team league. Do you think I should trade Alvin Kamara? My other players are Walker, Dillon, Montgomery, Kelsey, Jefferson, Evans, Thomas, Lockett, Boyd, Hurts, and Dak. I think eventually we can potentially look to move Alvin Kamara. I think that his situation may get worse over the long term, where you are looking at Alvin Kamara as a running back that obviously is the benefit if you have Andy Dalton as the starting quarterback. We don't know if that's going to be the case the entire season. At the same time, if you're in a spot where all of a sudden Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry come back, and Jameis Winston, then I think the situation is going to be significantly worse. I don't know, though. I think you probably just roll with Kamara for now, but then once we start getting reports about Thomas, Jarvis, or Jameis coming back, then we look to make that swap. Now, Rusty says, traded Kirk and Brian Robinson for Chris Olave. Is this a win? Yes, great deal. Lord Farquaad says, Tyler Boyd or DJ Moore this week. We're going to go Tyler Boyd, not even close. Goomba says, PBR need to between Deontay, Cooks, Samuel, A-Rob, Myers, and Damien Harris. We're going to go with Deontay and Myers. Job says, trade Pollard for Amari Cooper. Very dependent on your roster, my friend. I would say probably yes. I mean, the issue with Tony Pollard here, while he projects to be a running back 1 in any given week, Ezekiel Elliott misses. They have a bye next week. So Ezekiel Elliott's just naturally going to get 2 weeks off. Like, it's the perfect time for Ezekiel Elliott to have an injury, to rest up. Like, if you are an Ezekiel Elliott owner, I think you really need to be sending up a prayer that he doesn't play this week, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think the last thing you want is him playing, aggravating something, yada, yada, yada. I think you just want him sitting out, fully resting, coming back after the bye 100%. Now, next question coming out from Jack says, we're 2-5 in a 10-team full PBR format with double flex spots. Should I trade Amon-Ra and James Conner for Mixon and Donta Foreman? Or should I rock with Conner and Gibson? We have Jefferson and Avon. If you're telling me James Conner and Antonio Gibson are your 2 running backs, you got to go trade for Joe Mixon. If James Conner and Antonio Gibson are your 2 running backs, you got to go trade for Joe Mixon, even if I'm not a massive fan of the value. Now, V27K coming out. Thank you as always, my friend. Says, hey, Mason, what do you think about Mark Andrews? Will he be fine? Also, what do you think of Kadarius Toney's trade? And do you think any trades are going to go down? Maybe some risky trade. I think maybe Cooks gets moved. Maybe Hunt gets moved. I mean, obviously, it's exciting. Like, I mean, we kind of are rooting for it to happen. But if I was a betting man, I'd say no. If I was a betting man, I would say that Hunt probably stays with the Cleveland Browns. That Brandon Cooks probably stays with the Houston Texans. And then with Mark Andrews, I think he is going to be fine. I'm not worrying too much. Obviously, Isaiah Likely looks great. Isaiah Likely, I mean, one of the most valuable players for the Baltimore Ravens in this win. I mean, even gets the onside recover. I mean, you can be very excited about him. I just don't necessarily think that this is a spot where he eats into Andrews long term. I think if he gets on the field, it's not going to be at the expense of Mark Andrews getting benched. I think that it will be with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely playing in more 2 tight end sets especially with the Rashad Bateman injury. But now Peter says we're 3-4 in an 8-team league. We drafted Pitts, but we picked up Higbee. Should I try to trade for Mark Andrews? If so, roughly what price should we aim for? If we could go like Ramondre Stevenson and Tyler Higbee and go get Mark Andrews, I'd really like that. And yes, I think you should go see what the price would be. Blake says trade Aaron Jones for Travis Etienne. Hell yes. Sando says, would you trade Sutton and Kamara for Stephon Diggs? Yes, sir. Daniel says, in an 18 PPR league, should we flex Connor or Tyler Higbee? We just lost Chase. I'm super sorry to hear that, my friend. I would go Connor over Tyler Higbee in the flex if Connor does play. And Matzo says, yo, when's the 100X Pick'em? Mason, nice stream. If you didn't see it, it was on Tuesday. We made an announcement on the video. The 100X Pick'em for anybody who used promo code FLOG on Underdog was Tuesday. It was the Luka line. It was the Luka Pick'em on Tuesday. I'm very sorry, my friend, if you did not take advantage of that. We did go through and we did make an announcement on the channel. Nicholas says, is Keenan Allen a wide receiver 1 for week 9 and on? I think he is if Mike Williams is hurt. I think he is. Drew says, no, I meant trade away Sutton and Singletary for Keenan. Trade away. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for misunderstanding this question, my friend. I think if we were looking at a deal between these two, probably would go ahead and do the Curtis Samuel and Devin Singletary trade for Michael Pittman if you needed a wide receiver. I mean, I didn't really like Pittman coming into this season because a lot of people are valuing him as a top 10 guy, saying that Matt Ryan was some massive upgrade at quarterback. I didn't think Matt Ryan was any good. He pushed back on it, saying if Matt Ryan was good, why the hell did he just get traded for a 3rd-round pick? What do you know as a fantasy football YouTuber versus the freaking NFL? Yeah, Matt Ryan's not any good. I think Sam Ehlinger's not a downgrade. I think it's a lateral move. I mean, I've been consistent on Michael Pittman all year as a mid to low end wide receiver 2. I think he's still a mid wide receiver 2. Evan says, we're 3-4 in a full PPR league. 2 flex. We lost Chase. Running back is Dalvin, Kamara, Foreman, Singletary, Dobbins, White. Receiver is Lamb, Sutton, Wandale, Gallup, Wilson. Tight ends, Hawkinson, Frymuth. Was offered Kirk and Stevenson for Chase and Donda Foreman. I'm not doing it personally. I know 3-4. We need some depth. Maybe what we can look to do instead is move TJ Hawkinson and Cortland Sutton, get an upgrade at wide receiver that way. Get an upgrade at wide receiver that way. You're not really missing out on much if we're starting Pat Frymuth at tight end every single week regardless. I think you can get an elite level receiver knowing how many teams are desperate right now for the tight end position. I would first try to do that before we just go and ship Jamar Chase because I think you have enough depth here. 6 letters says, Dynasty Superflex, a Burrow for Lawrence London, and a second in a start 10 league. Can we say when in doubt, go Burrow? I love London in Dynasty, but I think in a Dynasty Superflex format, when in doubt, just go Joe Burrow. David says we have Allen, Cook, Chubb, CEH, Adams, Amari, Samuel, Hurst, Waller. Should I trade Samuel, Waller, and Clyde for Najee and Michael Thomas? So Clyde to Najee Harris, slight upgrade at running back. Michael Thomas is giving you nothing here. I think you keep Darren Waller, hope that he can rebound his value somewhat. I don't know if Michael Thomas comes back, my friend. I don't know if he comes back. But really quick, we are 2 likes away from hitting 1,200 likes in the live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. It does help us out a ton. Subscribe to the channel as well if you have not done so already. We live stream every single day. I've not missed a single day of live streaming in well over 100 days. Not missing a single day until the end of the season either. So make sure you go down there and drop that like and subscribe. Now, Cam says, I traded Zeke and Christian Kirk for Aaron Jones and Curtis Samuel. What are your thoughts? Don't love trading for Aaron Jones. I think it's probably a pretty good price. Also, what are your thoughts on Juju? Should we be looking to trade him soon, even if not this week? I think with Juju, yes, he gets hit slightly with Tony coming over, but I do think Tony kind of plays a little bit more of that McCall Hardman role. In reality, I can't say Juju Smith-Schuster is a sell-high wide receiver because based off the value that we've been seeing of Juju in these live streams, you're not getting anything for Juju, my friend. You're not getting anything for him. I mean, if you could sell him as a low end, if you could sell him as a top 24 wide receiver, then do it. Yes. But just to give you a little heads up, you're going to have a very hard time pulling that off. You will have a very difficult time pulling that off. Now, our next switch coming out from, I believe, Dean says, in a 12-team PPR Superflex format, we just traded Brown, Watson, and Donta Foreman for Chase, Najee, and Olave. We have Allen, Lamar, Mixon, Pittman, Ayuk, Deontay, Wan'Dale, Njoku, and Greg Dulcich. So Watson and Chase are going to be missing a similar amount of time. Obviously, Superflex, Watson's going to be a significantly better player in Superflex than he would be in one quarterback. I think they are comparable, but I would easily rather have A.J. Brown over the other guys. I'm sorry, I would rather have A.J. Brown over Chris Olave. I'd rather have Najee Harris over Donta Foreman. So I'm okay with this deal, specifically because we have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Only because we have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, I'm fine going through and trading away Deshaun Watson here, even though Watson is very exciting. But real quick, we have a massive donation coming out from Charlie, always out here in this live stream. Thank you. Let me skip ahead of this and we'll go right back to where we were. It says 5-1-1. We have Lamar, Chase, Olave, Devonta Smith, McLaurin, A-Rob, Chubb, Walker, Pollard, Dylan, Pitts, Gibson, Hayden Hurst. Who should I start at receiver and who should I flex? Also, should we go Hayden Hurst over Kyle Pitts? Yes, sir. I mean, it pains me so damn much to say this. Trust me. I mean, I wish, instead of paying a premium and being an idiot on Kyle Pitts in so many damn fantasy drafts and buying low on Pitts, I don't want to talk about it. But yes, we will go Hayden Hurst. Now that you have Jamar Chase missing, I think that Hayden Hurst is probably someone we're looking to start consistently. And then if we are going to be looking at receiver, I think we are going to go ahead and start Olave, wide receiver 1 with ease. We're going to go Devonta Smith, wide receiver 2. And then for that flex, I think we easily go over to the running back position with Tony Pollard, regardless of if Ezekiel Elliott does not play or not. I mean, if he plays or not. I think that you most likely have no Ezekiel Elliott, and there Tony Pollard is a smash. But I would still probably start Tony Pollard over Terry McLaurin if Zeke plays. Because even if Zeke plays, especially if they're going up against the Chicago Bears, where it's not like this is going to be a super competitive contest, I'd imagine that this coaching staff tries to keep him off the field as much as possible, right? They try to keep him healthy. And I think that most likely Ezekiel Elliott does miss because he has the bye week next week. So let me repeat myself. At receiver, we are going to be playing Devonta Smith and Chris Olave. We will be benching Terry McLaurin, Allen Robinson. At running back, we will be playing Nick Chubb, Kenneth Walker. And then in the flex, we'll go Tony. And then at tight end, we'll go Hayden Hurst over Kyle Pitts. But Cam coming out says, no, we just answered Cam's. Can I Be Great says traded Swift and CMC for Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor. What are your thoughts? CMC, JT are the identical to me. Give me Jacobs over DeAndre Swift. I do like it. I think it's a very fair trade. Keep in mind, Josh Jacobs is my most drafted player, so I'm going to be a little bit biased, but I think it's a fair deal. Now, Doggy Hercules says, my team is 4-3 in a 10-team PPR format. We have Allen, Cook, Pierce, Etienne, Singletary, Zeke, Chase, Cooks, Juju, Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale, Ertz, Goddard. I need a new receiver. Any advice? Same advice I'm going to be giving to a ton of people. Seems like every single person in the flock has Wan'Dale Robinson. And I think we look to sell Wan'Dale. Now, like I said, I am truly excited about him. I really liked him coming out of Kentucky. I thought he was a great prospect. However, I don't think this Kadarius Toney trade should impact his value much at all because Kadarius Toney wasn't getting involved regardless. However, I have seen sentiment around a lot of people in their fantasy football leagues where they think that this is a big deal. Where they think that Kadarius Toney getting moved all of a sudden makes Wan'Dale Robinson some league-winning receiver. So if we can maybe package together Wan'Dale and Singletary and get a wide receiver upgrade that way, I'd be very excited about that. Now, next switch coming out from Luke says, in a 12-team PPR dynasty format where we're 3-4 with fourth most points, quarterback, we have Herbert, Tua. Running back, we have Kamara, Etienne, Mostert. Receiver, we have Jefferson, Higgins, Jacoby Myers, Wan'Dale, Garrett Wilson. Tight end, we have Goddard. Any tips? I think we sit on our hands for now. 3-4 roster that looks like it just got a bit better with the Travis Etienne full-blown breakout, with Raheem Mostert taking over his backfield, with Jamar Chase going down, so T. Higgins looking like a top 5 wide receiver. I think we sit on our hands for now. We see if we can win the next 2 to 3 weeks, and if we pick up some momentum, win the next 2 to 3 weeks, and all of a sudden we're 6-4, then we can begin to looking to make trades with those rosters that fell out of favor, and those rosters that are in desperate need for long-term value. At that point, we can be looking to trade our future picks, but I really don't want to tell you like, oh, your team looks fine. Let's go ahead. Let's trade our 2023 first with Travis Etienne to get a truly elite level player here. And then all of a sudden what happens is you lose the next 2 weeks. You're 3-6. You moved off your first round pick and your dynasty team is screwed. Sit on your hands. Let's see what the next 2 to 3 weeks give us. If you are, 5-4, 6-4, and you want to push in, let's go for it. If you fall to 3-6, then it's a fire sale on someone like Raheem Mostert, on someone like Alvin Kamara, Jacoby Myers, get whatever you can. Now, Chosen Lifestyle says, Tyler Boyd a must-start over this week. Over Donta Foreman this week. Hell yes, Tyler Boyd's a must-start player. Now, Caden says, JT and A.J. Brown for Aaron Jones, Tyler Boyd, and DeAndre Hopkins. Give me Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is so far ahead of Aaron Jones. Now, Kaysen says, hey, bud, 18 PPR format. What receivers do you think we should start this week? We need 2 wideouts and a flex between Brown, Lamb, Pittman, Amon-Ra, and Tyler Boyd. I think Amon-Ra, St. Brown, A.J. Brown, and CeeDee Lamb are going to be our plays. Tyler Boyd is very appealing. I don't think we can start him over those bona fide studs, though. And then if we're going to be looking at CeeDee Lamb, the one thing that I will say is, it is a little frustrating with how good this defense is. If you wanted to see that truly elite level ceiling with CeeDee Lamb, because obviously we need the passing volume here. If you want CeeDee Lamb to turn into that wide receiver you thought he was when you most likely took him in round 1 of your fantasy draft, we need this defense to stop just shutting out opponents. Because the more they just go through and shut these teams down, the more the Dallas Cowboys could just run the ball in the second half. Phillips says trade Burrow for Dillon and Judy. We have Josh Allen. I'm fine with it. Obviously, Burrow gets a hit here with no Jamar Chase. Just figured we could get a little bit more. Alex says, what's up, my man? We have Hurts, JT, Jacobs, Godwin, Diggs, Goddard, Waddle. The bench is Pierce, Etienne, Connor, Metcalf, Hawkinson. Should I play anyone over Jalen Waddle? Okay, so I would really like to get Etienne in here. I would really like to get Etienne in here. But the thing is, when Jalen Waddle has that matchup going up against the Detroit Lions, I think that you're right. We probably played Jalen Waddle in the flex spot this week. We can't play Etienne over Jacobs or Jonathan Taylor. This is a phenomenal team. I think that this is a team, if you're benching guys like Dameon Pierce, Travis Etienne, James Conner, DK Metcalf, hell, go trade Dameon Pierce and Dallas Goedert and go get a truly elite level tight end. Now, Jesse says in a 12-team app PBR format where we're 5-2, traded Gus Edwards, James Robinson for Jalen Waddle. What are your thoughts? Are you freaking kidding me? You know I love that deal. Also, trade Boyd London for Dameon Pierce, Boyd for Chase, Boyd London for Dalvin or Etienne. Okay, so yes, yes, and yes on all these. Of course, I'm trading Gus freaking Edwards and James Robinson for Jalen Waddle in a heartbeat. I would trade Tyler Boyd and Drake London for Dameon Pierce, Jamar Chase, Dalvin Cook, Travis Etienne, whoever you'd want. How I would rank those guys rest of season would be Travis Etienne, Dameon Pierce, then Dalvin Cook at running back, and then wide receiver would obviously just be Jamar Chase by himself. It's just going to depend on your roster of what you feel like you need there. 5-2. You can trade for Jamar Chase for the fantasy football playoffs. But hell, if we can move Boyd and London for freaking Travis Etienne, let's do that in a heartbeat. God, you're playing with... Here's my assumption, Jesse, and I don't mean to be rude here. My assumption is you are a kindergarten teacher and you got to the first day of your class when you were introducing yourself to the kids. The parents had already dropped the kids off. They all left the room and it was just you and the kids alone. And you went, have y'all heard of fantasy football? Would y'all like to be in my fantasy football league? And since then, you've just been crushing them every single week. And you're trading freaking little Johnny, telling him you'll give him an A on his homework if he gives you Jamar Chase for Tyler Boyd. That's what I'm assuming is going on here. That's the assumption. But real quick, we have a massive dono coming out from, I believe, Jambon, thank you so much, my friend. Let me skip ahead of this. We'll go right back to where we were. It says 12-team Happy BR format, currently 4-3. Lost Brees. The team is now Kirk, Cup, Higgins, Amon-Ra, Kamara, Swift, Ertz, David Njoku. Should I trade for depth or should we wait? No. You are in a great spot. I think that this is a phenomenal team. Now that we're getting Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift back from their respective injuries, you have more than enough depth to go around. You have the elite top 5 wide receiver breakout with T. Higgins as well. I think that we sit on our hands and honestly don't look to do anything. Maybe what we could do is wait a week or two, and if all of a sudden Dalton has another dud game where it looks like Jameis may be the starting quarterback here again in New Orleans, or maybe when it looks like we're going to get back Michael Thomas, we're going to get back Jarvis Landry, and then at that point, if you wanted to go through, if you wanted to move off of Kamara, you could, but you don't have to do anything anytime soon, my friend. You are in a phenomenal spot. Okay. So now our next question coming out from, I believe, Alexander, thank you, says 10-team Happy BR Dynasty format. We have Watson, Stafford, Fields, Chubb, Jones, Mostert, Dillon, Kupp, Sutton, Boyd, London, Burks, Bateman, Ridley, Kittle, Schultz, Tunyon. Any trade ideas? Okay, so 10-team league. Obviously, we're just looking for studs. 6-1. Contending roster. Contending roster, I'd be fine going in and pushing in to win with that wide receiver position right now. Obviously, in the long term, we have exciting players like Drake London, Rashad Bateman, Calvin Ridley that are not going to give us much. But what I would be looking to do is approach a team that needs a tight end. I think that you can get some solid value for Dalton Schultz right now from a dynasty fantasy football perspective. I would easily rather have Kittle over Dalton Schultz. I think Kittle is one of, if not the most talented tight ends in the NFL, if we're going to be completely honest here. I mean, I just love George Kittle so damn much. And I think if you are looking at Dalton Schultz, he's just a product of being in about the best situation you could ever imagine. And if this situation were to change in Dallas, then maybe Dalton Schultz is significantly less appealing. So if we can move Schultz and Cortland Sutton, where Sutton was drafted back in 2018, but he stayed all 4 years at SMU. So Sutton's actually a little bit older than a lot of people assume. If we can trade them together and get an upgrade at wide receiver, maybe for the long term and the short term here, I don't think you're going to be negatively impacted at tight end when we're going to be starting George Kittle as well as Robert Tonyan regardless. And we can get that upgraded receiver. I don't love Sutton in redraft for 2022 or in dynasty for the long term either. I would really like that. Now, Philip says Burrow, Davis, Cooper, Kenneth, Etienne, Andrews, Hill, McCaffrey. And then on the bench, we have Tony, Chase, Mostert, Stevenson, Hall, Goddard. Who do I start? Okay, so first thing we want to do, my friend, is we want to drop Breece Hall. Not sure if you heard, but Breece Hall has a torn ACL. Obviously, I'm just trolling you, my friend, but I think this is a phenomenal team. What the hell am I supposed to say? I would love to get Stevenson in the starting lineup. If that's Taysom Hill in your starting lineup, take Taysom Hill out, put Dallas Goedert in. I'm trying to find a way to get Ramondre Stevenson in here, but you have freaking Kenneth Walker, Etienne, and CMC all in the same roster. You have a great team, my friend. The only thing that I'd look to possibly do is sell Ramondre Stevenson. And no, that's Tyreek Hill. That's not even Taysom Hill. Oh my God. How the hell do you have this team? Love it. Keep the starting lineup as is. Evan says start 2, Ramondre, Pollard, Hopkins, Higgins, and Etienne. And then we're going to go with T. Higgins as a must-start guy, as well as DeAndre Hopkins. Let's go Hopkins and Hopkins and Higgins. Who cares? Coming out says made a big mistake. Traded Stevenson, Amari, Evans for Jamar Chase. Woke up to the news and DeAndre Hopkins. Oh my gosh. Is there any hope for me? Okay. I would rather have DeAndre Hopkins over Mike Evans. So let's take them out of the deal, right? You essentially traded Ramondre Stevenson and Amari Cooper for Jamar Chase. And obviously, after the news, you could have gotten more for those two guys. You could have gotten someone back on top of Jamar Chase. But at the end of the day, if Chase only were to miss 4 to 6 weeks, Chase still does have a higher ceiling than both of those guys combined. So there's still hope. Like, I don't want to act like this is the worst deal ever. Obviously, it just comes down to how much time is Jamar Chase actually going to miss? how much time is Jamar Chase actually going to miss? Now, James says, Mason, the GOAT. Thank you. Instead of Keenan, Kamara, Debo for JT. Okay. Kamara, Debo for JT. It's right there. If it's like a 10-team format with only one flag spot, sure, let's go get the best player. Thomas says, Singletary and Wandale for Pollard and Jamal Williams. I think you can get more. C-Mello says, should I trade Boyd and Robinson for DK Metcalf? No, keep Tyler Boyd. Receivers are Diggs, Olave, Gabe Davis, Tyler Boyd. Running back are Sanders, Walker. No, I think that Tyler Boyd and DK Metcalf are comparable going forward. I don't want to be adding to Tyler Boyd to get an injured DK Metcalf with Jamar Chase going down. And Zeke says trade Keenan Allen and Robinson for Waddle, Olave, and Debo. So Keenan to Debo, call it a slight upgrade / lateral move. Robinson, Waddle, and Olave. Easily give me Waddle and Olave there. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's make that deal. Abraham says, I traded Juju Miles Sanders for Higgins and Kareem Hunt. What are your thoughts? Great deal. I think T. Higgins looks like a borderline top 5 wide receiver going forward. iStack says 5-2 in a 10-team full PPR format. We have Burrow, CMC, Saquon, Lockett, Williams, Kelsey, ETN, Melvin, London, Elijah. What 2 should I package to upgrade the wide receiver spot? I think if you wanted to do something, you could go ahead and try to package Melvin Gordon as well as, say, Mike Williams. Actually, no, we're 5-2. Since we're 5-2 and we're thinking about long-term upside here, if we're thinking about long-term upside, you will get Mike Boone back and healthy in Denver. It will go back to being a 3-man split backfield. And if we are going to be looking at DK Metcalf, Metcalf's going to be back by the end of this season, my friend. So if we're 5-2 and we're thinking about that long-term upside, I think maybe the move is try to sell Tyler Lockett and Melvin Gordon, go get an upgrade at wide receiver, and specifically on a 5-2 10-team roster where you have Joe Burrow, would be very excited to see what we could get in terms of the price point on Jamar Chase. But Louis says traded Walker and Melvin Gordon for DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Oh my gosh, great deal, my friend. I love that. Love it. And Bez says, I'm a Chase owner. Pick a receiver and a flex. We have Ayuk, Pickens, Renfro, and Wandale as my other guys. Probably going to go with the combo of Ayuk and George Pickens. The craziest thing ever is George Pickens right now is 4th on Pittsburgh in targets, but he's number 1 in receiving yards. I think he's kind of a sell-high guy. It's just such a bad situation here, even if he's an elite level talent. And it's a bad quarterback play. I don't know. You probably play him. And Chris coming out with the dono, thank you, says, should I be looking at trades with Mark Andrews injured? Depends on your roster. Depends on your backup tight end. I mean, if you're 1-6, you have no backup tight end. Yeah, you should probably be looking for trades. If you're 6-1, you have backup tight end. Then no, there's no way you should ever think about that. So I think we are through all the questions here. I mean, KV says start Kittle or Higbee. We're going to go Kittle. Is Ramondre a good start? Yes, he is. I think we're through all the questions. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, for being a member of the flock, for supporting the channel. I truly do appreciate you. I hope that you have a great day. I hope that we get to see you in the live stream tomorrow night. And if you wanted to support the channel, something that you could do way better than a donation. And I'm saying way better than a donation. If you enjoy the fact that we have live streamed every single day for well over 100 days in a row, is you can go down there, click the link in the live stream, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy, check out some of these player props with promo code FLOCK. I shouldn't be saying this, but it's in a live stream, so who cares? We will have a free bet for y'all next week as well for anybody who signs up with promo code FLOG to Underdog Fantasy. Don't know what player it's going to be yet, but it will be over under half a yard. So that will be a free bet for you next week. If you go and sign up only for people who use promo code FLOG, you can find the link in the description. They'll also match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 200. So it's essentially free for you to check out. So like I said, there is legitimately nothing more that supports this channel than you and hitting that link in the live chat, signing up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK. Outside of that, thank you again. I truly appreciate you. Make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell if you have not done so already. Yeah, that's all I got for you. I will see you tomorrow night. If not, I hope you have a great weekend.